What is up, Insaners, and welcome to the Game Week 35 deadline stream. How are you guys doing? Welcome to another stream. I think it's going to be a chaotic one, but here we are again, another deadline. I think only a couple of weeks now to go till the end of the season. So much, of course, will be happening, so much will happen. We have a lot of surprises in place in terms of what we are doing with our team for this particular week. And do let me know how was your last week, how was your last game week, how did you guys do, how was that Chelsea, trouble that you kind of went through, and of course, great play and fair play to all the players or all the managers who went for somebody like a Havertz, like an Alonso who still did okay. I mean, Alonso did really well. I think Havertz also kind of did okay, did a lot better than Mount. But yeah, for people like me who went for like a Werner, James, and then a Mount, I think it was a tough week. Actually a very difficult week to kind of take because there were two good fixtures. We were not able to kind of take advantage of that. So do let me know how your game week was and what are your aim and what are your targets for this particular season, right? I have definitely fallen down a lot in terms of what I've done over the last couple of weeks. I was kind of in the 7 to I think 10k or something around that range, and I've now fallen down to 38k. So it's not been working out for me. I've taken a few risks, I've taken a few chances, and it's not kind of worked out. But my aim is still to at least reach the top 10k. I think 1k is definitely out of the question, but I think 10k is also a bit tricky. But I'm trying to kind of get towards 10k. I will be making a few changes. I will be taking a few risks. If you see the screen and my team on the screen right now, I have Kevin De Bruyne in as my captain. I've not made the transfer yet. I'm probably going to decide, like last time, what I'm going to do on the stream. And again, there are a couple of hours to go, at least about an hour and a half to go till the deadline. So I think we'll kind of wait till the end again. We'll kind of assess the vibe. We'll kind of ask you as well in terms of what should I do, because again, there is no point of just playing safe, right? I can just absolutely go maybe a Son, for example, which looks like a more sensible, more logical move. So I can go for Son, I can go for somebody very safe, and I can just captain Salah. But that's not really going to help me, right? If you're trying to catch up, there's massive risk involved, right? Because you cannot, you cannot really justify going for a Kevin De Bruyne in a week where he's probably he's going to get rested, right? We don't know what Pep is going to do because Pep will do Pep things at the end of it. I'm pretty sure we're all targeting all these, Man City assets, players from, probably players from Chelsea as well, right? This week, again, we will talk about those certain players, those certain picks in terms of what you should do with the Chelsea players. And I think there are also chances that they can get rested this week, right? So you got them last week, maybe for a lot of hits like I did. And now this week, they're probably going to get rested. They're not going to get minutes. So let's see what's going to happen. Let's see. I'm repeating, this is not the final team. Of course, for the stream, I've kind of made this draft in terms of what I have in mind. This could change closer to the deadline, so we'll see what happens there. But hello to everyone again. Hello, Flash. Hi to you. Welcome on the stream. Hi, Brian. I hope you had a good week. 66 points for you last week. I mean, with the -4, it's not really bad. I think that will be a green. I think not too sure, but I think that should be a green. I definitely was in the red, probably about 10k or maybe around 12k. It was a huge rank drop, but fingers crossed. We are hoping that we can claw that back from this week onwards. Not much time left, right? I don't think so. You can do a lot of different moves. You can do, try a lot of different things now. Of course you can. I mean, it's fantasy. It's a game at the end of the day, but let's see. Let's see where we end up by the end of the stream. Could Zaha be a good asset? I think he could be a good asset. I think Crystal Palace have decent fixtures. If we know something about Palace till by now, almost till the end of by the end of the season, I think Palace are a really good side at home, and how they play and the way they play is very different from what they do away, right? So if you look at, I think Palace's fixtures, Palace has a couple of home games in there. We'll just quickly check it. So they have Watford at home, which is a really good fixture in 36. Then they have Villa away, Everton away. I think both those fixtures are going to be tricky. Then they have United at home, right? Now I'm saying United at home with a smile on my face by wearing a United jersey here on a stream. But I still feel last game of the season, I think it could be anything, right? That score could be absolutely anything, and Palace might go absolutely berserk in that particular game. So that can definitely happen. But yeah, those away fixtures are not very appealing. They have Southampton this week, which is also an away fixture. And I think there are chances that, they can do well against Southampton because Southampton is not a great defense. I mean, over the last few weeks, if you've seen, they don't do really well defending, or they don't know how to defend really, right? So I think there are chances that you can get a haul there. But again, he's a huge differential, massive risk as well. He's on penalty, so that's going to be a bonus. I think when Palace will do something, Zaha should be involved. So that's the assumption here. And again, I think if you're taking a different route, if you're trying to be a little different, go the differential route. I think not a lot of people will be going for Zaha, so why not? I mean, take a chance. If you're playing safe, right? If you're planning to play safe, if you're still planning to kind of protect rank, maybe not. Then maybe he's a difficult player to own. But in general, if you're going all out, I think absolutely go for it. Could be a decent move. Still debating KDB versus Son. I am still debating that too. I mean, I have a draft ready here that has Son in it. So if I go Son, I can just quickly pull that up and I can put that on the screen. The only difference is KDB versus Son, to be very honest. And I think the player that I'll be going for will definitely be my captain this week because again, you can absolutely go for Salah and he's a good pick. He's the best player, the best fantasy player this season. There are chances that he can get rested. There are rumors floating around that there could be some early team news, some leaks in terms of maybe something is happening in terms of a lot of Liverpool players are getting rested and all that stuff. So that can definitely happen. But I mean, if you want to go safe, play safe, absolutely Salah is the one to go for. But yeah, whatever player I get in, I will definitely captain him because the upside is there in those particular picks. Whether you talk about a KDB, whether you talk about a Son, maybe a Kane, I think those are really really good players that you can target this week who have a great fixture. And the safe players, people who are protecting rank, they'll absolutely go for Salah. So you can literally have a blast if these kind of players do really well this particular week. Hey Ansh, hello to you. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, the last few game weeks have been driving all of us crazy. I think specifically for our team, and the way we've been doing, I think it's been a slightly disappointing end. I was really expecting us to kind of at least hit that maybe 15-16K mark. I finished 16K last time around. So I still want to definitely beat that. And let's see. I mean, still a little bit far now in terms of the 10K mark. But I mean, if you don't take risks, if you don't do these kind of moves, they're not stupid moves, right? It's not just blatantly going for any random player, captaining any random player. That's possibly the wrong way to approach it. But these are players that can actually help you gain points. So why not? Let's take a chance. Not done the move yet. KDB over Son. Currently, it's KDB over Son. Let's see where we shift over the past 1.5 hours. Have a draft ready for Son as well, so could happen. Rafinha turned out to be a better keep than yeah. I mean, we were debating about Rafinha over Martinelli. See, in terms of minutes, I think Rafinha was never in question that he's probably get less. He's gonna get lesser minutes because Leeds have so many injuries. They have so many walking wounded that they can't afford to rest Rafinha. They can't afford to give Rafinha, some time off to probably just not play. That's definitely not going to happen. He's still there, one of the most important players. He's been doing really well. He's been dodging FPL points like anything. We've all seen that happening. So yeah, I mean, could still happen. He could score against Man City. He could still do well again in the coming fixtures. You never know. But I just feel, I think it's time to kind of now get rid of Rafinha. Martinelli was such a bad pick. I mean, I don't know how many of you had Martinelli or still have Martinelli, but I thought it might be a very smart move or a smart decision to go for Martinelli at that point of time where I think everybody was going for Saka. And it definitely didn't work out because Saka has literally murdered our rank so badly. I mean, he has literally blasted us off so bad that I just see him getting these double digit hauls and 10 pointers and all these kind of big scores, and everybody has Saka, right? So we're losing out so many points. But let's see. Let's hope that now that we've gotten Saka, he does something for us, because whenever we get in an FPL play, I think this season it's been very odd. I mean, whenever we try to make a different move, it doesn't work out. I think going against the template this season has been very risky and very tricky. So if you've gone against a template a lot of times and if it's not worked out, it's absolutely fine. But that's what it is. But let's see. I mean, let's hope that Saka does something this week. Stephen, your team for this week. Hello to you first of all. Welcome to the stream. Your team for this week is Pope, Trent, Cancelo, James, Alonso, Salah, Son. You have Kulusevski, Saka, Weghorst, Watkins. Would you bench any of these from Mateta, who's my first bench? So your defense is pretty good. I won't bench any of the defenders. I won't even bench Kulusevski because it's against Leicester. There are conversations in the community that it's going to be a heavily rotated Leicester side. We still have to see if that happens or not. But Tottenham have a good record against Leicester. Kane has a good record against Leicester. Kulusevski is a good creator in terms of Tottenham or the likes of Son and Kane getting those chances. So I think I'll still have him over a Mateta. Mateta looks like Mateta will get minutes, but I mean you cannot be really sure of that. Kulusevski is definitely going to start. There are conversations again. There are some rumors, or there were maybe some murmurs in terms of maybe him starting as a wing back because Emerson Royale is probably getting dropped. That could also happen. So that will limit his attacking potential by a significant amount. But I think having Kulusevski is still better than Mateta. He's playing for a better team. He's playing for a better attack, and I think he's more nailed as well. Weghorst, Watkins. I know Weghorst has been frustrating for a lot of owners. Whenever you bench him, he scores. Whenever you play him, he doesn't. He blanks. Happens to a lot of FPL players, but I think even Watkins is a good pick against Norwich. So I won't change anyone. I think Mateta should be on the bench and maybe the first pick on the bench. Captain Foden or Salah. I think again the same conversation, right? If you want to go safer, you go Salah. If you're looking to protect rank, let's say if you're leading in a mini league and you have maybe 10, 20, 30 points behind are your rivals, for example, right? So there is a considerable amount of lead that you're protecting. If you're doing that, then go Salah. I think Salah is his effective ownership, which is the total ownership of Salah. I think that's going to be more than 100%. What that means is that if you don't captain Salah, you start losing rank. And if you are leading in your mini leagues, if your rank is really good, maybe whatever your aim is, right? And if according to that final aim, final objective, your rank is good right now, then you captain Salah. You don't take a risk. A lot of people will be captaining him. It's a good fixture still. I think Newcastle, yes, they are a good defense now. I think they could make things difficult for Salah. Salah could also get rested. I mean, there are different narratives. Hopefully, we get some news before the deadline, before the final countdown. But there are chances that he can also get rested. Maybe he comes off in 60 minutes, keeping the FA Cup final in mind because he has to play the FA Cup final, right? That's it's Klopp has to play him absolutely. So safer is Salah. If you are okay taking a bit of a risk, Foden is a huge risk. The reason I'm saying this is because there is the Champions League game against Real Madrid, the semi-final against Real Madrid, that is midweek. And because of that, there are chances that he cannot, maybe he doesn't play. I just have a feeling that he features in the game. I'm pretty sure that he will feature in the game. Whether he starts the game or not is a different conversation, and I'm not very, very sure on that, to be very honest. I think he can start the game, but then again, he might come off around the 60th minute mark. Maybe he plays only 45 minutes. That's a possibility. So you are possibly taking a bigger risk with Foden. But again, if you're catching up, if you are falling behind in your mini leagues and you're trying to chase people, trying to chase rank, trying to get a lot better in terms of where you are in terms of rank, then you go for Foden. Otherwise, I think it's Salah for sure. Son will play at least the next. I mean, yeah, he will definitely play 240 minutes over the next 3 game weeks. The only worry is that one City for 36, but in isolation, I prefer Son. I mean, yeah, 36 game week is possibly a week where City might not rotate that much. They might want to just consolidate their position and might want to just make it more difficult for Liverpool to kind of do catch up. And because of that, I think Pep might play a stronger team in game week 36. Again, there could be rest as well because that week will now be after the second Champions League game with the midweek Champions League game. So that game will be after that game. The Premier League game will be after the Champions League game. So there are chances that Pep also rotates in the first game of game week 36. But again, I still have a feeling that if you are chasing, if you are looking for upsides, if you are looking for hauls, then Man City in 36 is a good place to go because there are a lot of options there. But then also, it becomes a lot more trickier because you don't know which options to go for. And we know that Pep can always rotate and mess with our plans as he always does and has done. So yeah, I mean, that is a worry. Again, 36 for Son might also be okay. I mean, even against teams like Arsenal and Tottenham, I think that's who are they facing. Arsenal and Liverpool, sorry, my bad. Arsenal, Liverpool. I think both teams will play expansive football. They will try to be on the front foot. They will try to have more of the ball, and that might just create some spaces behind that. Especially the high line of Liverpool, the high defense line. I think that could create some spaces for somebody like a Son, who's a runner who runs behind these defenses. And I think he might still have a better game. I mean, more than Kane, who might drop a lot deeper to try to connect plays and try to create chances for Son, maybe play balls over the top of those defenders. I think Son might be a better asset in game week 36 for Tottenham, and they can absolutely score against Arsenal. Arsenal's defense hasn't been that great, so I think Tottenham can score against Arsenal. Their attack is good. I mean, the likes of Son, Kane, Kulusevski, I think that's a good trio at the moment. And even Liverpool, we've seen, right? Yes, they are still trying to compete in the league, but Liverpool always ends up or manages to kind of give big chances to teams. It's up to teams and up to a certain Allison to save Liverpool from those big chances, from conceding goals from those big chances. So there are chances that even Tottenham can score against Liverpool. I still feel Liverpool is too strong for Tottenham, and Liverpool is definitely going to win the game. But yeah, I mean, not a bad pick, to be very honest. With the UF team, I'm thinking of free hitting 36 because I can't get to City mids without selling Son, who I really want for 37. I mean, yeah, you would really want Son for 37, 38 because the fixtures are really good, right? If you look at the games, it's Burnley at home and Norwich away. Norwich away, final game of the season, could be absolutely anything. Could be a tennis score, could be a big score. Uh, Even Burnley at home, I think a lot of things might be decided by then whether Burnley are staying up, whether they are out of the Premier League. If that is decided, then I think it could be another big score for Tottenham because it's at home. I think Burnley would have lost motivation by then if they are out of the Premier League. I think anything could happen in those two fixtures. And free hitting in 36 again, you can get a lot of upside with that because you can target players from City, you can target players from Arsenal. I think they're still a decent team to target. Even Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea, I would be a little bit, concerned, a little bit careful in terms of who do I invest for in Chelsea, because that Leeds game is very, very close to the FA Cup final, and there could be rotation, and there will be rotation in that particular game. Who gets rotated is anybody's guess here. I mean, we're all guessing at the end of the day. Nobody knows what Tuchel's gonna do. So I would be a little bit worried in terms of Chelsea, but yeah, I mean Everton could be you if you want to punt. Everton could be another team where you probably go. Maybe a couple of differentials could be the way to go from the Everton team as well. So I mean, yeah, I think free hitting in 36 also has a lot of merits, and if you can't get to City mids, then I mean without setting Son, so that's the conversation for this week, right? It's the City mids versus the Tottenham attackers, the Tottenham mid, Son, for example. I think that's the competition, at least for this week. And then it's really going to happen for the next couple of weeks as well because City might see rotation, Son might play more minutes. So there's a lot of narratives and a lot of things to kind of, take care of. But I think either way you go, you can't be wrong. I mean, I think Tottenham and Man City both are going to do well over the next couple of weeks. Captain Ronaldo in the last two game weeks got from 15k to 1k. Man, I mean, I am jealous. I am literally jealous. Uh, yeah, I mean, Ronaldo in that double game week, in spite, I think he missed. Yeah, he missed the second game, but yeah, absolutely crazy. I mean, I captain Salah. He did really well. I think he outscored Ronaldo. But yeah, I think great job in picking those specific halls. I think great stuff there. Hello to you, Raghav. Welcome to the stream. Who to start? White versus Cody versus Thiago Silva. Again, White doesn't give you a lot of advantage in terms of attacking returns. Possible. I mean, all three don't, to be very honest. Even Cody. But if you just look at the fixture in isolation, West Ham would probably again play a rotated side like Leicester because they're still in Europe. They still have to play the second fixture, and the game is not done yet. So I think. I mean, it could be a weakened West Ham squad. It could be a tired West Ham team with not too much focus on this particular game. So White might just keep a clean sheet in there. I think if you have Ramsdale, then you don't probably need White. Then you just probably stick with Ramsdale. If you don't have Ramsdale, then I think it's possibly White. But I mean, I'm not very very. I know that there are chances that Cody could keep a clean sheet against Brighton because Wolves don't concede a lot of goals. Brighton have not really scored a lot of goals. It's probably going to be a very close game, maybe a 0-0, 1-0, something of that sort. But I would probably just, I mean, I want to go Thiago Silva, but there is again a chance of rotation. Uh, Keeping in mind that Thiago Silva also gets injured a lot. I mean, they have to really manage Silva, and he's a very important player in that defense, right? So I think if you have Ramsdale, you play Thiago Silva. If you don't have Ramsdale, you play White. I think that's probably the right way to look at it. Is it only for me or the stream is lagging for everyone? I hope the stream is not lagging. I hope it's fine. Let me know if it's lagging, if you can hear me, if you can see me fine. How about captaining Coutinho? I think Coutinho is a great shout. It's a great differential punt if you are looking to go there or if you can go there. Of course, you have all these slightly safer players. Like Salah is definitely a lot safer. You have somebody like like a Kane or a Son who are still. I mean, at least from they could still end up blanking in this week, but I think a lot of people who are looking to go alternate routes could or would captain these Tottenham players. So if you don't have Tottenham players, or if you don't want to go there, if you want to go be a bit more differential in terms of your approach, and if you're again chasing hauls, right? Because Coutinho is over the last couple of weeks, if you see his numbers, his game, Aston Villa's play overall, you might not be very encouraged to go there. But the fixtures were tough. Coutinho against the slightly easier teams, or slightly, I can't say weakened teams, but maybe easier oppositions tends to do really well. So I think there is a haul in there this week. He's facing Norwich, who's the worst team in the league. Whether you talk about defensive numbers, whether you talk about attacking numbers, they're almost bottom in every statistic. They're also bottom of the league right now. So I think you target that fixture. I think it's a great fixture in isolation. If you're looking to go differential, I think Villa could bounce back. They could have a really good game. It's also, I think it's a home game. Yeah, it's a home game, and Coutinho tends to do really well in home games, especially. I mean, I don't know how much you believe in this particular statistic, but that's the trend that we've seen this season. So I think he could be a really good option to go for if you're looking to go differential. If you had triple captain, who would you use it on? If I had triple captain left, I think I won't use it this week because there's a lot of risk in terms of rotation for a fair amount of players. I think if I want to go a bit safer in terms of triple captain, I'll probably go Salah, who's in 36, who's facing Tottenham and Aston Villa. I think those are two really good fixtures. One home, one away, but I think Liverpool is going to do fine. So I think I'll probably go Salah if I want to go safe in terms of triple captain. If you're okay winging it, taking a bit of a risk, going differential, which is probably my way of playing FPL right now at least, I think you go for a Man City attacker. There's a lot of upside there. I think 36 might still be better for somebody like a Foden. Maybe even KDB gets more minutes. And if you want to go absolutely, risky, I think there are players like Cancelo, Trent, Robertson. You can even go there, right? Because everybody, or at least both these teams, Man City and Liverpool, they have a double game week. Both fixtures are good for both teams. And a defender could have a clean sheet. These are all attacking defenders. They can give you an assist, maybe goals from somewhere. When they give, an attacking return, they're generally in the bonus points. So I think if you're okay taking a bit of a risk, then a Cancelo, a Trent, or maybe even a Robertson could be good picks. So I'll probably just look at 36. I'm not very, very comfortable triple captaining a 37 game week player. Let's say somebody like a Villa player, for example, maybe even a Everton player, for example. I know those are decent double game weeks, but I just don't trust those teams. I mean, even if you want to go a bit differential, you probably target the bigger teams or the better attacks, and you probably look at differential players from those teams, right? So I personally am not too heavy in terms of a game week 37 triple captain. So 36 is where I'll go, and then these are the options depending on how much risk you can take. Raghav, your team is Sa, Cancelo, James, Robertson, Trent, Salah, Son, Kulusevski, Saka, Mount, Weghorst. On the bench, you have Dubravka, Mateta, Broha, White. You have one free transfer. Should I do Son to KDB captain for a hit, or just to Mount to Foden or Coutinho? Again, it depends on your risk, right? It depends on how much you trust KDB to start this week. There are absolute chances that he can get rested. It's a very split call right now. So if you're okay taking that bit of a risk, if you're doing catch up, maybe you can do Son to a KDB and captain him, because then you'll possibly gain the most advantage if KDB starts, because the fixture is really good, right? I know Leeds are slightly better now in terms of their defense. They are not conceding those many goals, but the last few fixtures have been against slightly easier oppositions. They've not really faced a big team or a big opposition, or a traditional top six opposition, I think, in some time now. And Man City is a great attack, right? So it could be a big score. So if you feel that he can start, or if you have confidence that he will start, make that move. I really like that move, to be honest. I have no problems with it. But if you're playing safe, then maybe not. Maybe just keeps on, because he'll have a high owner. He'll definitely have a lot higher ownership in terms of him and versus KDB, for example. And I think there's more to lose. Plus, you're taking a hit. Plus, if KDB doesn't start, then you probably would end up, you know, could be a red arrow already for you in that particular week, right? For this week. Mount to Foden or Coutinho. So again, depends whether you have any chips available. If you are, let's say, I'll put it this way so that it's easier to understand. If you are using a free hit chip in 37, then you probably shouldn't focus on maybe a Coutinho, because I think 37 is when I would really want that Villa, maybe a double up, maybe even a triple up on a free hit. Let's see again. I'm yet to build a proper free hit draft for 37, but you might not want Coutinho for slightly longer term, because one of the doubles in 36 is Liverpool, which again I don't really fancy a lot. Then the last game is against Man City. So if you get a Coutinho, I mean, you can definitely get advantage of the Norwich fixture, the double in 36, the double in 37. He might get slightly limited minutes, because I don't expect him to play all 90 in 36 and 37 across 4 games. I don't expect that. But again, then what is your plan for game week 38 is also the question. So I'll probably, if you let's say if you don't have any chips available, I'll probably still go Foden, because I'm chasing. If you're slightly going safer, then go Coutinho. If you are playing a free hit in 37, then I don't think so. You need to get Coutinho. You can just get him on the free hit just for 1 week, and then let him go for 38, and then you can possibly get Mount to Foden this week as well. I think that's also a decent move. It totally depends on your confidence in terms of how much do you think KDB is going to start, right? And then I for one, I'm chasing. I'm okay. For me personally, either I reach the top 10k, and I have a blast in the end, or I even if I finish 60k from now, it doesn't really matter, right? Anything under 100k is okay. It's still good, but my aim is still to kind of reach towards that 10k mark, right? Because I want to beat my last year's score as well. So depends on you. Depends on how much risk you want to take, how much safer you want to play, and then based on that, I think you can take a call. Final team. So this is, I think this probably would be my final team. I'm definitely getting Saka. So I'm doing one move for sure, which is Rafinha to Saka. That's absolutely happening. Second move is I have to basically downgrade a Werner to a cheaper, option if I want to make certain upgrades in my midfield. So I think Dennis move also is looking pretty certain, because I probably would have wanted to go to an Nketiah, but again, I might do it next week. But right now, because I have White, because I have Ramsdale, and because I have Saka, I have 3 players already from Arsenal, so I can't go to a Nketiah. Otherwise, I would have wanted to go to that particular direction. I probably trust Nketiah a little bit more than Dennis. But again, I think the Dennis move is also pretty much certain in terms of downgrading Werner, because I think he's a rotation risk. And then it's a decision between De Bruyne and Son, right? Right now it's in De Bruyne. It's also certain that whosoever I'm getting in this week is probably going to be my captain. So whether it's De Bruyne, whether it's Son, but yeah, I think this is more or less the team. There won't be any major shocks or surprises by the end of it. I think this is where I am. Is Matip a good option if you don't have the funds, at least for guaranteed clean sheet? I mean, what we've seen so far is that Matip is preferred in the Premier League, and Konate has been playing a lot more in the Champions League games. That could still happen. I don't think so. Matip can, play week in, week out, play the midweek games as well, play in the league as well for 90 minutes. But I still feel if you don't have the funds, I still don't like him, because yes, he gives you the clean sheet, but I don't think so. Apart from the clean sheet, there's much more to gain from that player or from Matip. I think if you can spend money to get, if you have Trent, and if you can spend some money to get to a Robertson, try to do that. If you can't, then and if there's no other option, I'll still prefer a Man City defender over a Matip, for example. I'm not sure how much Matip is. Let's just quickly see how much he is. I think he's probably going to be maybe around 5 to 5.5. He has to be somewhere in the middle. 5.1. Yeah, he's definitely cheap. So if you're looking for a if you don't have the funds at all, then I think he's a decent option. But if you can probably stretch it to even a Laporte, right? I think who's around 6 million. I think that's still a better play, better move. And of course, if you can stretch to a Robertson, then he's always preferred. But yeah, I mean, just for the clean sheet, I'm still not very personally. I'm not very sold. Liverpool can concede. They concede big chances. Allison has been playing really well this season, and they end up keeping clean sheets where they could have conceded maybe a goal, maybe even a couple of goals. That can continue for a bit. That has been continuing for a bit, but not sure. Not sure there. Personally, don't like Matip. I generally would like to go for somebody who's a bit more attacking, maybe even Cash, for example, right? Who has more games, who's more attacking. Yes, I know that clean sheet perspective, and if you're only looking at clean sheets in isolation, Matip might be a better pick because Liverpool will probably end up having more clean sheets than a Cash, for example. But I think the upside with Cash is still there, right? And I think he's probably around 5.2, something around that. So if you have that much money, I'd probably prefer a Cash instead. I personally won't go to Matip. The major problem with Spurs and Man City is that you can't predict. You can predict who can score points for Spurs, but yeah, I mean that's actually a problem, right? They just Spurs. It's still a little bit easier because when Doherty was there, when Regulon at in an alternate universe, in a parallel universe, in a different reality, when he was scoring, he was probably not scoring as much, but he was playing well. He was getting a few assists, etc. He was, of course, scoring FPL points. Then you had the likes of Doherty who came in, who was doing really well before the sad injury that happened to him. But Spurs, you're pretty much confident, right? It's either going to be Kane or Son. Maybe Kulusevski getting a couple of assists, maybe one assist. Maybe Kulusevski is that always safer player, right? Who's probably going to give you 6-7 points in a game. He's probably not going to explode like crazy. But with City, it's actually tricky because there's so many options. And the worst part is that you're planning to buy a City asset. You plan to maximize hauls from that particular player, whether it's Sterling, whether it's Foden, whether it's Kevin De Bruyne. And I know for a fact that if City are doing really well against Leeds, maybe they go 2-0, 3-0 up by halftime, for example. Could happen, could be a possibility. I don't think so. Second half, Kevin De Bruyne, if he starts, he's going to come out. He's just going to be, benched, rotated, and he's going to be substituted, and somebody else will come in because we know that there are very good options, good replacements for even a Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, there are options that Pep can go towards. So you're trying to get a player who's probably going to give you hauls, but I think it's working in the opposite way here because as soon as Man City does well, even if Kevin De Bruyne doesn't get involved in those couple of goals, there is also a possibility of that happening, right? Because as you're right, as you're saying correctly, right, it's difficult to predict where you will get those FPL points from in a Man City team because there's so many outlets. I mean, everybody. I remember last week only. It was last week, I think, where I think everybody was very hot on, on a Raheem Sterling, for example, and I think Gabriel Jesus ended up scoring 4 goals and 1 assist. I mean, that was a freak score that generally doesn't happen in FPL. And yeah, it was last week against Watford, right? You didn't expect maybe Man City to concede a goal first of all, and then you didn't expect majority of goals going to a Gabriel Jesus who was not even starting and who's not played a lot of minutes, who's missed a lot of minutes over a good amount of time. And you would have expected that Sterling, who will start because he's probably not going to start in the Champions League game, he will end up getting more points, but that didn't happen. So it is tricky. It is a problem, and if you are a safe player in general, if you have a safe mentality, if you are not chasing in the game, if you're playing safe, then maybe a Kevin De Bruyne or a Sterling is probably not a great pick. Then maybe you go to somebody like a Coutinho, for example, or you maybe hold one of your Chelsea assets because, I mean, yes, they could get substituted or they could get substituted early in the game. They could even get rotated, but I still feel they will feature in Everton's game. I know Everton against Everton, which is I think it's a home fixture for Everton, and Everton at home have been okay. They've not been that bad. I mean, they've been a lot better in general. They've been a very average and a poor side this season. But I think Everton at home, there could be some rotation for Chelsea. What I'm hearing or what I'm reading, at least out there, is that Werner is expected to get rested. There could be some rotation in terms of Havertz as well, because there are again, as with Man City, right? There are options with Chelsea as well, and they have that FA Cup final coming up. So it's a tricky call. Yeah, somebody like me who's definitely chasing, I think will take a chance, will take a risk, because there's no point of going safe now. I mean, you can just play safe and you can end up with a, more or less the same rank, maybe a few thousands here and there. But I mean, if you're literally trying to go for an outrageous target, I think you'll have to take a few chances with the risk that you can lose more ranks. I mean, absolutely fine with that. We'll take up the next one. Barnes to continue already have Ramsey, Kane. Barnes to Coutinho already have Ramsey. Kane to Nketiah or a premium forward. I mean, there are no premium forwards in the game apart from Kane that I'll really go for. I mean, there's Ronaldo, of course, but I won't go for Ronaldo, honestly. Uh, I will try to probably downgrade Kane to somebody. I'm not sure whether you have Son or not, but I think having Kane is absolutely fine for one particular week, or for at least this week. Again, depends on how what chips you have, right? If you have a free hit and you're planning to play it in 36, for example, you can get rid of your Tottenham players. You can not have them for that tricky double. You can have them this week. It's a good fixture. And then you can have those Tottenham players for 37 and 38. So it's not a bad run, to be very honest. I mean, Tottenham, I know last couple of weeks have been, they probably had one shot, maybe one, I was reading it somewhere, one shot on goal or one shot on target over the last couple of games. Yes, they tend to struggle against teams who have a tendency to sit back, to defend deep, and to kind of, make it difficult for a Tottenham side to create chances. That creativity is often missing, because then in those cases, Kane is definitely marked, Son is marked, and Kane tries to come deep and, tries to make plays like the usual stuff that they do. But it becomes difficult for Tottenham to, kind of break down teams. And they're a much better side, when playing teams with a higher defensive line, where they can actually hit them on the counter. That's why these bigger teams, these top teams, right? And you might actually feel that those top teams might be trickier fixtures. But I mean, there is a chance that Kane could still do well. So depends on your chip strategy. If you're playing free hit in 37, I won't be very, very heavy and very hot on Coutinho. Barnes again is a rotation risk, but if you have no chips available, Coutinho or Ramsey could be a great double up. They have a double double 36 37. 38 could be a bit tricky to navigate, but then you might just end up making a transfer, maybe taking Coutinho out for somebody else, right? But I personally don't see Kane to a different player, or unless you're really going for a Kevin De Bruyne, maybe you're making some other upgrades. I personally don't see the Kane to a Nketiah or any other premium forward move. Saka has an injured on flag on him. I think I mean, he's fit. That is an absolute surety that he has been pictured in training. He was training with in the Arsenal last training session, and he's fit to be selected in the game week. Whether he starts is of course a different conversation. Now coming to that conversation, I think he starts this one. It's an important game for Arsenal. I think if Tottenham lose this one and somehow they maybe drop points against Leicester, and Arsenal win this one against West Ham, who also would be playing a rotated side, I think they will be heavy favorites in terms of that fourth spot, right? I'm not sure whether mathematically what will happen. Haven't checked that, but I think Arteta would want to cement that Champions League spot as soon as possible. And we know that Saka is a huge, huge part of that Arsenal attack. I think if he's not there, Arsenal are lacking, attacking edge. He's also on penalties, as what we have been seeing, and where I have been really bleeding a lot. He's also on penalties now, and I think that also adds to his advantage. So I think overall that that transfer should have happened, a lot earlier for me. But I mean, it's fine. I think I'll still. I personally have no issues with taking a risk on Saka, because again, decent double has decent fixtures, and might just be okay. Param, your team, I'll just quickly check it. Just give me a sec. Schmeichel, Johnny, Robertson, Rudiger, Son, KDB captain, Kulusevski, Madison, Saka, Kane, Pookie. Already in a -4. Would you recommend to go in for a -8 for Ramsey and Coutinho? Mm, I'm not sure who will you take out. I mean, you can take out Madison. He could be a rotation risk, but I possibly won't do it for a hit. I mean, yeah, I mean, not too sure in terms of a hit. Um, I mean, it depends, right? If you don't have any chips available and if you want to go a bit early on Coutinho, who has a decent fixture against Norwich, you can actually do it. But if you're playing a free hit in 37, I mean, you can get him for 37. 36 is a tricky double. It's not that easy. So it totally depends on that. If you don't have any chips available and if you want to go a bit early on a Coutinho, do that. But also have a plan for him in Game Week 38 because, or maybe at least have this in mind that what are you going to do with him in 38 as well, because 38 he's facing Man City and that's going to be a tricky fixture. Out of the two, I definitely prefer a Coutinho because he has better upside, more avenue in terms of points, and I mean he's just a better player than Ramsey, right? So, bro, Matip has outscored Robertson over the last 10 game weeks. Let's quickly check that. I didn't know. I mean, he's missed one game against West Ham. See, honestly, let's be realistic. He might have outscored Robertson. I mean, he got an 11 pointer against Leicester, then he got a 12 pointer against Leeds. That was 6-0 game. Then a assist and 3 bonus points against Brighton. And he tends to get bonus points even against Everton, which was a 2-0 game. He got a couple of bonus points. So there are chances that he probably will get into bonus this week as well, because maybe Newcastle's going to be a tighter game, but we don't see a Matip bombing forward every week, right? We won't see a Matip. Yes, he's a threat from set pieces, but the kind of threat that Robertson can give, and again, if you're at all into numbers, if you're at all into expected assists, expected goal contributions, and all of that stuff, I mean, there's no comparison, to be very honest. And again, I can't do the math, or I won't do the math here. Uh, but I still feel Robertson is a better pick. I would even go as far as saying that Robertson's probably a better pick than Trent as well. I mean, if you see Liverpool games and if you've seen them playing, the way he's been playing, I think he can even get more points. I personally won't expect that from a Matip. Yes, he can get a goal, he can get a couple of bonus points, but I mean, you can't really compare the attacking threat that he or a Matip has, right? So could be that he's outscored Robertson, but I still won't. I personally won't go there. It's a personal choice. If you feel that if he's outscored Robertson and if he's probably a good option in that price range, you can absolutely go for it. But I personally don't think that he's worth that amount. I would still want to go for an attacking defender rather than him. I have point three in the bank. Trent, Reguilon, Shar, Cancelo, and James. Looking for a Reguilon replacement. Point three in the bank. Reguilon is how much? 5. I think he's somewhere around 5. Let's quickly check that. Yeah, he's 5.1, maybe 5, 5.1. I don't know how much did you buy him for, but let's assume that you have 5.2, 5.3 in the bank. I think cash is a really good option. Matip is one of the options, as Raghav pointed out, that he's outscored Robertson, so he could be an option. But I personally prefer a cash, unless you're probably free hitting in 37 and you are set in terms of maybe a couple of Aston Villa players. Let's see. I mean, apart from that, again, you could possibly go for an Arsenal defender, but I mean, White doesn't really give you any attacking upside. All the defenders from good defenses like Chelsea could see rotation. I mean, they're still struggling in terms of defense over the past few weeks. Man City and Liverpool have expensive options. So I personally prefer cash, but if you feel, again, if you're not there yet in terms of your three Liverpool, because I think three Liverpool assets will be very crucial in terms of the next couple of weeks. I think that's a really good way to differentiate as well and probably attack the right team, a strong team as well, right? Because you can get a combination of a Mane, Diaz, Salah, something like that, and also differentiate from other players and have a good team still. I mean, you don't have to go all out in terms of Aston Villa, Everton, because I mean, realistically, how much do you expect these teams to score, right? I mean, you don't really expect these teams to score 2, 3, 4 goals in games, but Liverpool can. So yeah, I would probably go for cash. But if you're free hitting in 37, then it becomes a bit tricky. I mean, Matip is definitely. I'm still getting used to that fact, but yeah, could be an option. Mm, Jesus and for Werner already have KDB. I probably won't do it. I wanted to. I mean, I thought about it. I won't lie. I thought about Werner to Jesus as a downgrade. But I still feel the importance of a KDB right now to a Man City team is a lot more than what a Jesus can bring in or does for the team. Yes, over the past few weeks he's been playing well. He's been getting chances. He's also started in the Premier League and he got that big haul as well. And things could change. I mean, he could still end up starting, but there is still a lot of risk in terms of rotation for a Jesus. So yes, there are chances that even KDB can get rested, but I mean, even a Jesus is possibly a risk in terms of rotation. So personally, I mean, I don't like. I possibly would want to go to a KDB or maybe a Foden, who's slightly maybe better in the next 2 to 3 game weeks. Maybe he plays more minutes. Then maybe a Jesus or a KDB. So I possibly will go there. I won't look at Sterling, not even Sterling, because if I'm trying to reach to Sterling, I'll possibly try to go all the way to a KDB, and Mahrez is also a risk. So overall, in isolation, it's a good option, but just be ready and just have this in your head that it's gonna be a risky move. It's gonna be tricky, and only if you're trying to chase rank and if you are probably trying to be a little different from your rivals. Maybe you're trying to get a big rank boost or try at least attempt a big rank boost. Then possibly it's an option because I don't think so. A lot of people, yes, I've seen a fair amount of people transferring Jesus this week, but I mean still the really serious players or people possibly in the top 10K or the higher ranks, right? I don't think so. They will be taking a chance on Jesus. Maybe a lot of people won't. So could be an option. At least for gaming 35 and 36 bench boost, will use free hit and 30. I mean 35 Norwich is a good fixture for cash, so I don't mind. I don't mind that, to be honest. Brought in KDB too. But for Salah, oh, that is interesting. Really hoping for that early. I mean, yeah, that happens. Again, you can't really go by that rational. But yeah, that generally has happened. Taking out Salah, massive risk, and and I don't want to say it on the stream, but yeah, I have to beat you, in the league for sure because we are sharing a league together, and I think it's gonna be interesting. Let's see. Going without Salah, massive risk, but could even pay off, to be very honest, right? It could pay off in the immediate short term because he might get rested against Newcastle. You generally don't expect Salah to get rested because he ends up playing majority games. He ends up even playing 90 minutes in most games because he's that fit and he has a drive to do well, score goals, help Liverpool to win matches, and he's not happy when he's taken off or he's rested, right? So Klopp might still play him, might still start him, but might just take him off maybe around the 50th, 60th minute mark, something like that. If Liverpool are comfortable in their game, so could be very interesting. KDB or Kane for captain? Slightly safer out of the two is Kane because his expected minutes are going to be more. I think he's definitely going to play 90 unless he gets injured and warm up or something like that. I think he plays 90. KDB, you can't be sure of that. He definitely doesn't play 90. I mean, I think whatever that score is, if Leeds are really winning or maybe if they're really making a match of it, then it's a different proposition. I still feel Man City are going to be comfortable. But KDB will probably end up playing, if he starts here, he's probably going to play maybe 60 minutes, something like that, right? So if you just go by expected minutes, Kane will be on the pitch for at least maybe 20-25 minutes more. He's facing a Leicester team who will be heavily rotated because I don't expect them to start majority of their main first team players for this game because they're still in the in the European competition, and I think that's going to be their focus. They don't have anything to kind of prove or to attain towards or reach in the Premier League. I don't think so. Europe is possible next season. So I think Kane could massively haul. Plus his record against Leicester's, I think maybe it's 12 goals in 15 games, or might be the other way around, something like that. But he has a really good record against Leicester, and his one of the favorite teams to play is Leicester. Could be a bogey team for Kane. I mean bogey in a good way, of course. So safer is definitely Kane, but again, if you're trying to get to a certain rank or maybe beat somebody in any of the mini leagues or whatever, I mean, if you're going by that notion, then KDB is a shout. But Kane, I think it's still if not Salah, then I think Kane is still a safe option to go for. Should I sell Salah for Son to chase rank? If yes, should I captain between Sterling and Son? I personally don't think so. I will sell Salah to Son and chase the rank. Reason being, Salah will be heavily owned. First of all, if he blanks, maybe you just get away with it. But I still have a feeling that Son, let's say if Son returns this week, right? Even if he has a tough double next week, I think there'll be a lot of people getting in Son, getting back Son in their teams, right? So you might not end up gaining heavily in terms of going differential, and you might just end up losing more rank because Salah in 36 could really punish you because he has two really good fixtures. And I think he's definitely eyeing that golden boot, and he's gonna play majority minutes. So I think there are chances that that move might not tick. I'll possibly have Salah and then try to have a different attacker, maybe let's say a premium attacker, but I won't personally. I won't sell Salah and then go for towards a premium attacker. If it's a very short term move, maybe a 1 week move, it's a different thing. But at least for the next 2-3 weeks, I possibly won't do that. I would want to have Salah in my team so that I have a base covered. Then I would probably want to differentiate in terms of getting to a KDB, getting to a Son, getting to a Kane. I mean, there are different combinations. Getting to a Sterling, or you already have a Sterling, for example. But personally, I personally won't make the Salah to Son move. Salah to KDB for this week is also risky, but could could still work out because Newcastle is probably going to be a tricky game. But yeah, Salah to Son, I personally won't do. Between Sterling and Son, if you have both, for example, which I don't think so would be a possibility, but if you have both, let's say I think Son is still a better captaincy shout. If you don't have Son and if you have a Sterling and a Salah, for example, I would still kind of go for Salah over Sterling. I mean, yes, Sterling could get minutes, but I mean, last week what happened, right? A lot of people did get in Sterling and they got burnt really badly because he was close to the ball when all of that movement, all of those goals, etc., were happening, but he just didn't get returns, and that could happen as well this week as well. So I personally won't take that chance. Best game week for free hit 36 or 37. Which game week I planned for a free hit? So the way I have structured, the way my team was structured, I don't have. I have had Coutinho for a very long time, but I don't have any other players from Everton, from a Leicester team, for example. And if you don't have any of these players, I personally don't see the upside of getting them now, uh, especially when I have a free hit available. And that's the reason I'm kind of pretty much set in terms of when I'm going to use my free hit. I think it's going to be Game Week 37 because I don't have to depend on these players for multiple weeks because I possibly won't want to get in a Everton player this week because they're playing Chelsea. Then I wouldn't want Aston Villa, or maybe I wouldn't want to go too heavy in terms of Aston Villa because they also have a tricky game in 38, right? So all of this basically helps me maximize the Game Week 36 where good teams and stronger teams are doubling. Yes, there are chances that a few of those teams might have some rotation or might have some rotated squads, rotated teams, rotated 11s playing in those two games. But I still have more faith in that than these smaller teams, and I personally don't like the idea of holding them over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Yes, they're differentials. They probably could be differentials at the moment, but I personally would still try to target a stronger team or a top six team or a team maybe who's fighting for something. I mean, Aston Villa, Everton. Yes, Everton would be or should be motivated because they are fighting to stay in the Premier League. But Aston Villa probably won't have a lot of motivation. I mean, you can say that. That's one narrative, right? They could be a beach team where they just don't have anything to play for and they might even see some rotation, etc. So personally, for me, for my team, the way I have structured it, I think free hit 36 is not really a great option. I think I can maybe with a couple of maybe with another hit next week where I get in a City defender and then I get in a Nketiah, for example, for an Adams. I think I can do that. I can try to get at least 11 doublers for my Game Week 36 team, which should be okay, especially if you don't have a bench boost. But I also have a bench boost, and that is my worry. I mean, it's not a worry, but I just don't want to use it. And I hope there was a button or there was something, there was a provision in FPL where we just, can just put that bench boost in the bin because you would think that bench boost would probably give you some advantage, maybe 15, 20 points, maybe even more on a double game week. But I have such a weak bench and I possibly will have to take hits to invest in my bench to make it a lot better. and then possibly just get stuck with it, and possibly struggle with fielding a great or a good playing 11 with the best set of players that I possibly would have got in a regular circumstance. So I think that is the problem. But I think you can go both ways, but I just feel free hit in 37 just looks a little better. A lot of players, a lot of people already have the likes of three City, not three City, but three Liverpool, maybe a couple of players from Arsenal and Tottenham, uh, maybe a couple of players from Chelsea, one or two players from Man City as well. So I think that core, that structure is already set. It's also, of course, about getting those right set of players. But I mean, free hit in 36 is just not looking like a week where you might get a lot of upside, because I see a lot of people already getting to a Foden, getting to a KDB, already have Salah, maybe a Son, for example. So the upside is less, and you just have to probably, you will end up competing against teams who are maybe a lot similar to your team on a free hit. So that also is a possibility. Hey Shivam, I'm good. I hope you're doing fine as well. Bench boost in 36 and free hit in 37. That's what I that's what my strategy is. So let's see. Concerned with Mount's minutes, I am a little bit too, and that's why I'm also planning to get him out this week. He will get minutes because he's one of Chelsea's most important players. He's the man who, he's the player who really makes them tick. He's playing in a number 10 position in the new setup that Tuchel operates now. And Chelsea don't have a lot of, number 10s in the team. I mean, of course, you can, make an argument that a Pulisic might play there, or Havertz might end up playing there, but I just don't feel that they're better or maybe even equal to a Mount in that position, and it's because of that reason I feel he's probably going to start majority games. He might be hooked off if Chelsea are doing well a lot earlier, and he might not end up finishing the game. But I mean, I still have a feeling that he starts the next couple. Maybe he probably gets benched for the Leeds game. But yeah, I mean, there will be rotation for sure. That's I think that's a given. Is it worth going for Son and Werner to KDB and Watkins for a -4 and captain KDB? I like the idea of captain KDB. I'm also personally doing that. If you're taking a risk, going for upside, trying to chase and trying to catch up, I think it's a really good move. Watkins, personally, I'm not a huge fan of Watkins because I've had him and I've got burnt by a lot in last season, this season as well. Yes, Villa has decent fixtures, but I still prefer somebody like a Coutinho or maybe a Ramsey, just to be very very cheap and give me those points. The only scenario where a Watkins is looking good is because you don't have a lot of options in attack, and you have the likes of Dennis and Ketia, a Pookie, for example, who aren't players or who aren't forwards who are going to give you goals every week, right? I mean, yes, you can get a couple of goals maybe in one particular week, then they might just end up blanking. And Watkins as well, right? I mean, it's okay for a -4, and I'm okay doing it because I think he's going to play minutes. I think Gerard definitely prefers him over an Ings, for example. So there are chances that he ends up playing more minutes, absolutely. And I mean, he could be okay. Fixtures are looking a lot better. So if you are taking a bit of a chance, I think Werner is expected to share minutes with the likes of Ziyech, Pulisic, even Havertz in that role up top. So I think overall, I don't have a problem with this. I think it's a good move. KDB captain is of course risky. That's absolutely there. And if you feel you're not confident in terms of him starting, then probably don't go there. But otherwise, I think it's a good move. Um, Shum, you've shared your team here. Foster, Laporte, Cancelo, Trent, James. Midfield is Salah, Mount, Son, Foden. Forwards, you have Pookie and Dennis. Subs, Schmeichel, Alonso, Mateta, Gordon. Thinking Mount to continue or roll. Very confusing. I mean, the way I'm looking at it is that if you have a free hit in 37, if you have a free hit first of all, and if you're playing 37, take a call in terms of whether you want to go Coutinho or not. I think he's gonna get more minutes than Mount. Of course, he also has that double, but it is a tricky double. But then Mount is a bit risky in terms of minutes. So again, I think a lot of people will get Coutinho for this week. I think let's just quickly see how many transfers he's had today. Yeah, so Coutinho has had 1.75 lakh transfers in total. So far, I think that number is definitely going to go up over the next maybe half an hour or so. So if you are maybe looking to protect rank, I think Mount's ownership is gonna get a lot lower. I think people are gonna sell him. Maybe not this week, but maybe if he's benched, I think you'll find a lot of sellers for Mount. So if you are probably trying to protect rank, and if the mini league is possible a possible play for you, so just see what your rivals are doing. Just try to understand what their teams is, or or what they're doing in terms of transfers, and then possibly make that move. Don't have a problem with the Mount to Coutinho, because Coutinho will get. I think he will get more minutes. He has more games as well. But yeah, I mean, you anyways free hitting. So if you're okay not having him for the next couple of weeks, then possibly just hold Mount. But yeah, I mean, safer you do it. I think Mount will end up being a slightly riskier pick. So that's where I am. Personally, I will do it. If I was in your place, I will actually get Coutinho. I have no problems in doing that move. Can you make a wildcard draft for this game week? I'll be bench boost in 36 and free hit in 37. I mean, I did one draft as a part of my stories on the Instagram channel, so possibly you just check that once. I think that'll be a little more detailed, a little more helpful. But in general, I can just say that if you're making a wildcard team, I think there's certain cores that you possibly have in your team. You would probably want to go a little bit heavy in terms of defense. You probably go double Liverpool in defense. You go Trent and you go Trent Robertson. In terms of defense, you got to take a call whether you want to go for double City, which is Cancelo and Laporte, or you want to go for just Cancelo, just protect that rank from Cancelo. Because his ownership is going to be very high, and then possibly go for an Alonso or a James. So that's a call that you take, depending on your money as well. I think you can make that decision. If you're free hitting in 37, you necessarily don't need a cash, but you need a player who will be on your bench, right? So overall, I mean, if you can afford cash, he's still a decent option to go for, because still has a double in 36. And in terms of other teams doubling in those defenses, I possibly won't. I would not like to go to an Arsenal and restrict myself to an Arsenal team who are not keeping a lot of clean sheets now. I also won't want to, possibly double up on Chelsea right now. I think one defender from Chelsea is absolutely enough. You can even go for a Palace defender. I mean, it's not a double, but it's Watford at home. Could be a decent game. Won't go Leeds, won't even go Leicester, because there'll be so much rotation. So you don't know who's going to start. Again, Norwich are doubling, but I won't go there. Spurs also, I don't think so. They'll keep clean sheets in both games. Watford also, I can't trust the defense. So I personally, I mean, if I am okay, I'm personally okay having cash in spite of using the free hit. But yeah, I mean, just make sure that you have a plan for 38 if you can just bench cash in that particular week. Otherwise, you can even go for an Arsenal defender, maybe even a White. I mean, still not a bad option, to be very honest, because he still has a double in 36, and I think he will start both games. In terms of midfield, I think Salah is still a must-have for me, unless you're really lagging behind and you're doing massive catch-up. I still think that he's possibly a good player to have. And then you take a call in terms of what structure you want to keep, right? Whether you want to keep a Kane or a premium forward spot open, and then you can switch, or you want to keep a premium midfield spot, another spot where you have a Son, or you have a KDB, or you have a Sterling, and then that call is totally on you, right? You have Coutinho, you should have Saka in there. I think he's still a very good option to go for. If you're free hitting, I don't think so you need any Everton players, to be very honest. I mean, you can even punt on if you're not going double Liverpool, for example, you can even punt on a Jota, maybe. I think that also could be a decent move. So it depends on your risk appetite, and it depends on how much or what are you playing for right now in FPL, and then you take a call. You can even go cheaper in terms of your forwards, and the other route is, of course, have Kane at least, because if you will have Kane, of course, you won't be able to have Son, right? So that's a call that you take in terms of the structure now, that you will be playing with one premium striker. The third spot can't be even a dud spot, because you are bench boosting in 36. So you probably have a Dennis, for example. I mean, he's cheap, so you can have that. I would have loved to go for a Leeds attacker just to save in some money, but Leeds are playing Arsenal, Chelsea, both tricky games, and all the cheap, options from Leeds are probably just going to play 10-15 minutes. On a bench boost, it becomes a bit tricky. So I'll possibly want to have somebody who's doubling. So I mean, it's a slightly heavy attack, going for a Richarlison or a Watkins, but yeah, then that's a tricky call that you need to take in terms of what you need to do. Dennis is definitely an option. You can definitely have him. I think if you want a cheaper option as well, maybe a fifth midfielder, but I personally won't go there. You can go for Gordon, but again, I personally won't go there. So yeah, I mean, this should be the structure of your wildcard team. Depending on, it's actually difficult if you're bench boosting in 36 and then free hitting in 37, because that free hit in 37 is absolutely fine, but the bench boost in 36 is not ideal. I mean, it really makes you, a little handicap in terms of choosing your best 11, because you possibly will still have to invest a little bit money in your defense, which I'm also, of course, I don't have a wild card available, but yeah, this is where I am. Which Man City mid is better and gonna get most minutes for 35, 36, and 38? After selling Rafinha, will have 7.8 million. I mean, 7.8 is, I think, only enough for Foden, if I'm not wrong. Let's quickly see. I think Foden is 7.8, yeah. I mean, long term, you can argue that Foden definitely starts one of the games in 36, starts 37, and 38 as well. I mean, the Champions League game is going to be, I think, 1 week after the final game, so I think there's enough time for a Foden to get rest, recover, and then play if they reach the Champions League final. Plus, I don't think so. Pep will rotate heavily. Yes, he has options. He will rotate, but I don't think so. The core structure of that Man City team is gonna get rotated a lot, because he's still playing to win the title, right? And they can't afford any slip ups, because Liverpool are just right there, breathing down their necks, and Liverpool can just actually win the season or win the title if there's a tiny slip up in terms of Man City. So I think Foden. I mean, if money is a constraint, and if you have that much money, I think you can only afford Foden. Uh, but yeah, I would have loved to get, love to go towards a Kevin De Bruyne, but I think that will really involve a lot of chopping and changing. And I, again, if you have to take a lot of hits for it, if you're totally messing with your entire structure, and you're taking off your entire team completely, I possibly won't do it. But I think Foden could be a decent move. If you can stretch your budget a little bit, Mahrez is also an option, but I think Foden will outscore Mahrez in terms of minutes for sure. So I think Foden is the option here. Best Doherty replacement under 5 million. Tricky. 5.2 was cash. 5.1 is Matip, as we spoke earlier. I think if we let's just quickly look. I mean, White is an option. 4.6. And Arsenal not keeping clean sheets. You can go for a Crystal Palace defender. I mean, their defense has improved. They have kept clean sheets. In fact, the last 6-7 games they've kept 4 clean sheets. So I mean, that could be an option. Maybe go Guehi. Guehi. He's been playing a lot of minutes. He's starting every game. I think he's pretty much nailed, but there's no attacking threat. It's a tricky one. I won't go for a Spurs defender as well, because Spurs, I mean, generally they can't keep clean sheets. Newcastle have tough fixtures. Can't trust the Everton defense. So not really a lot of options at price, and I'd possibly just go for White. I mean, he's 4.5. I mean, he's still 4.5. I think 4.6. So I mean, still a decent bet. Unless you already have a triple Arsenal in a Ramsdale, Saka, or an Nketiah, then it becomes a bit trickier. But I think I'll possibly just go White. Foster, Cancelo, Robertson, Alonso. Cancelo, Robertson, Alonso, Coutinho, Saka, Son, Salah, Mount, Broha, Weghorst, Bench, Michael, Shar, Kuko, me. Any changes you recommend? I mean, I'm assuming that's Ben Me. Personally, don't think he's a great option. 4.6, you possibly can change to somebody else. I don't know who is the other keeper, but maybe get a White. Maybe take a chance on a different defender, because I mean, Me's also out. I'm assuming, yes, he's possibly out injured as well. So I'll possibly change that. Rest, I think the lineup looks okay. Saka, Son, Salah, Mount, Broha. I mean, Broha is another option you can possibly change. You can even get to an Nketiah. I think possibly, if you don't have any bench boosts or anything remaining, I think possibly just keep me on the bench and just go for somebody like a, yeah, I mean, like an Nketiah, for example. If you don't have Ramsdale, because in that case, I think, yeah, I mean, you can still kind of afford him. I mean, you still will have only 2 Arsenal players. So I think even changing Broha, going for a different player. I'm not sure how much Broha is. Let me just quickly check if money is an issue there. So Nketiah is 5.5. I think Broha is he less than 5.5? He's 5.5. So I think you can possibly do that move. I think that's still better if you don't have to use your bench. That looks like the way to go. Mount to KDB and Werner to Mateta. Mateta again risky in terms of minutes. Not sure whether he's gonna get majority minutes. Mount to KDB is good, but I'll possibly Mateta is 5.3, right? 5.3, 5.4. 5.3. I mean, you don't have any other option than 5.3 to be honest. So if you had money, maybe Nketiah is an option. Maybe Dennis is definitely a lot more. But yeah, Mateta, you can play him. Maybe he gets minutes. Palace do have a double. But yeah, I mean, if it's for a hit, I mean, even if it's for a hit, I'll probably just do it. Werner to Mateta is something I don't like personally, but if you plan to bench him for most weeks, if you don't have a bench boost available, then I think it's okay. There have been rumors of Kulu moving to right wing back for Spurs. Yes, I know. There have been rumors that I don't know if there was a rumor or something that Conte mentioned in his presser that he could move to right wing back, but I mean, it's fine. I'm still okay having one. I mean, I want to have at least one Spurs player for the Leicester game. I agree that if he plays in the right wing back spot, I mean, one way to look at it is that he's probably going to bomb forward and he's going to play a bit more attacking. So his attacking threat could be better. But I mean, if he's not playing close to Son and Kane, then I think his assist potential significantly reduces, right? And he, of course, only gets 1 point for a clean sheet. He doesn't get clean sheet points for a defender. So it's not great news from an FPL perspective, but if you have a double up with a Son and a Kulusevski, maybe a Kane and a Kulusevski, then you possibly get rid of Kulusevski. But for me, I think I possibly won't do it because I still want one Tottenham player for this week. I know I don't have Kane. I would definitely not have Kane. I might end up having Son. Doesn't look like that. I still feel it looks like KDB all the way. But yeah, I mean, but could be true. Absolutely. Thoughts on Watkins? Still feel Coutinho is a better option if you are possibly saving money and you just want to play bench boost and maybe have a double game week player, maybe Ramsey. I mean, when I'm thinking about forward spots, of course, the preferred option is Kane, but he's a lot of money. In that price bracket, I think Watkins is 7-ish, 7.5. So he's competing. Who is he competing with? Let's just quickly see. I mean, he's competing with likes of Dennis, who's a lot cheaper, but he's a potential option. He's competing with the Richarlison, who has a double. I mean, Richarlison could do better, maybe because Everton have to win these games, otherwise they are relegated. So, I mean, yeah, I can go to a Watkins. Personally, not very, very convinced. That's all. I mean, I don't think so. He's a bad pick, but I still prefer. I think Coutinho is a better option to go for. So personally, I think I won't go Watkins. If we already have Kulu, that might just go for KDB. Covers up both City and I mean, yeah, that's what I just mentioned, right? Having at least one Spurs attacker, I think it provides a better balance because then if I go Son, then next week I'll have Son and Kulusevski, and then I possibly do the Son to KDB move. I think that's the plan to do. Have both Tottenham players. So one way of looking at it is that you have a Kulusevski and a Son this week against Leicester, who could do really well, and then next week probably KDB is a lot more nailed. Has 2 games, and he's also a good captaincy option. So safer option is to still go for a Son this week because he's expected to play more minutes, and then shift to a KDB next week because KDB is then, of course, I still feel Son is probably going to end up playing at least 160, 170 minutes in both games. But KDB has a chance of maybe even playing majority minutes depending on how the Champions League game kind of turns out. So yeah, let's see. KDB can absolutely be massive. I totally agree. If he plays, if he starts, and if he returns against Leeds, I think the rank gain could be massive, especially when he's a captaincy option. So yeah. Can I use bench boost in Gaming 38? You can absolutely use bench boost in 38. I mean, there's no one strategy at all. I mean, I've seen people planning for a free hit in 38 as well, right? It's an unknown sort of a game week where all the matches are going to happen at the same time. We might get more information in terms of leaks, lineups, and all of that stuff, but there could be a lot of rotation in the final game week of the season. But you can absolutely play bench boost in the last game as well. Depends on your players, right? What kind of players do you have? Because when you look at the final game week, you have teams like Burnley who are playing Newcastle. Maybe we know what happens to Burnley by the time. Even Everton is against Arsenal. If Everton's relegated at that point or by that point of time, then Arsenal could score massive there. Maybe Everton also score because they want to put up a good show for the fans, etc. Norwich versus Spurs could be great. I mean, there are a lot of options. Villa, yes, they're playing Man City, but if the league is wrapped up, right, it depends a lot on game state and what is happening in the Premier League till that point of time. If results are pretty much clear, if there's not a lot to play for, I think there could be massive, changes to squads, massive points as well in terms of FPL. So that could also be a week where you do a lot of catch up and you end the season very strongly. Catching the rotations would be so critical for the next 2 weeks. Absolutely. I mean, and there could be so much variance. You know, a lot of people getting in KDB. Maybe now it's Sterling who gets a lot of these points. Could absolutely happen. Maybe Foden starts, gets a goal, maybe gets more returns than a KDB who just ends up getting an assist, who ends up getting on or being on the bench, etc. I mean, that could absolutely happen. Moved Madison out for Coutinho and retained Havertz. I think Madison out for Coutinho I mean, there's a chance that Havertz, whatever forums I read online, whatever I've read at least so far, I think Havertz is expected to start, possibly play, alongside maybe Ziyech in this particular game, and Werner gets a rest. But again, what Tuchel's gonna do, only he knows. And I personally feel there's a rest coming for maybe both Havertz and Werner. But I think out of both the players, I think Havertz is still more likely to start than possibly Werner at this stage. If I personally, if it was me, I'll possibly sell Havertz, get in Coutinho, or get in somebody else. I mean, if Madison out for Coutinho is what you've done, maybe get in somebody else in terms of Havertz, and then and possibly move him on. I see some rotation happening maybe this week and next week definitely. I mean, 36 we are definitely going to see a lot of rotation in terms of Chelsea players. Mount to KDB, Madison to Coutinho, and Werner to Gelhardt for a -8. Don't mind that at all if you are chasing. I think Gelhardt is probably a dud, and he's probably not going to give you points. But then you getting Coutinho and KDB depends on your chip strategy as well. What your chip strategy is, but I think I personally like the moves. No problems there. Amati, Madison, Wood to Robertson, Dewsbury Hall, and Ketia. Amati, Madison, and Wood. So you're getting rid of two Leicester players and then Wood, and then you're getting Robertson, Dewsbury Hall, and Nketiah. Roll the transfer. I mean, they're not that great moves, to be honest. Dewsbury Hall could get rested this week. He's a very important player for Leicester right now. And Ketia, yes, we are expecting him to start, but I mean, there could be an off start for somebody like a Lacazette as well. Even Martinelli could start up front. I know we've been talking about this a lot, and it's not happened so far, so maybe it's just not going to happen. But I think, I mean, for a -8, it looks a bit tricky. I personally don't like the idea of, if you're possibly taking these many hits, I think you possibly get in players who you captain as well, right? So you can take advantage of those hits and then try to get ahead of the curve. So possibly not for a -8. I personally won't do it. Reece James, I think he's still a hold. If he doesn't play this week, then possibly we are into that tricky spot where we have to decide what we do with him in terms of 36, because 36 we're anyways expecting rotation. He has played a fair amount of minutes recently in that right centre back position as well. Last game week he was a bit unlucky. I still feel he's a good option because whenever he plays right wing back, I think he's been really good. His numbers are up there. He puts in a lot of crosses. He was very unlucky not to get returns against Man United. But I personally feel he's a hold. I don't think so. You need to. He and Alonso, I don't think so. They're options that you need to hurry and sell, unless you're doubling up on a Man City defender next week and you possibly have to make that switch from a James to maybe a Laporte, for example. I think that could also be a move. If we hear some more information, if we get some more idea about James getting injured, maybe he's not ready, to start games and all of that stuff. But for now, I think I'll just hold him. -4 to bring in Matip this week to play play white. To play over white or wait next week. Bench boost 36, but will be a part of a -8. Or get cash even though free hit. Yeah, of course it's making sense. Thanks for the question. I think if you have a free hit available, you don't have to get in cash. I don't think so. That's really required. Asmila, yes, he can give you attacking impetus and he can, give clean sheets. Not too hopeful for a clean sheet. Maybe slightly more confident in terms of attacking returns from cash because now the games are getting a lot better and easier, slightly easier, I think. But yeah, I mean, see, -4 for a matchup. I mean, I'm okay playing white to be very honest. I don't think so. There's a lot to there's massive or there's a huge amount to gain if you are getting a matip for a white. I mean, for Matip to really do well this week, he has to definitely get an attacking return, maybe get bonus points as well. And of course, you won't be able to you won't be taking a hit next week. But I think I'm okay taking that hit next week as well. I don't see a need to get in a hit this week. I think Arsenal against West Ham can absolutely keep a clean sheet because that West Ham team is gonna be slightly rotated, and I think there are chances that West Ham might not even score against Arsenal. So I think that's okay. I possibly won't take a hit this week. I won't get in cash. Also, if you are free hitting, I'm very sad that if you are free hitting in 37, you don't need to go very heavy in terms of Villa players because you also have Game Week 38 to think about, right? And then unless you have a plan already set for that and you can bench cash and play other players, then I mean it's still a move that you can make. But personally, I won't make the move. Any Palace midfielder I can target for Game Week 37? I mean, Zaha is definitely an option. If I have to go for a Palace midfielder, I definitely will go Zaha. Gallagher was a great option earlier on the season, but I feel Zaha is the player to go for. He's also on penalties. He's that talismanic, flair pick that who can do really well and might just end the season on a high. So if I have to go one way, I'll possibly go Zaha. Should I consider Bernardo Silva stick to Foden? I don't think so. I mean, Foden is good. I personally won't go Bernardo Silva. I'm bringing KDB. Should I replace Barnes or Mount? I'll possibly replace Barnes. I think I can still be a little bit more patient with Mount, and I think Barnes to KDB. If that's the move, I think that's a better move to do. Martinelli to Saka for a hit. I mean, I want to do that so bad for so long. I still feel it's worth it. I don't think so. It's a sideways move. I think a lot of people will tell you that Martinelli's could also get minutes, might just give you an attacking return, but that might just give you an attacking return has been stretching for so long that we haven't got anything. And me being so frustrated by a Martinelli, I mean, I would definitely, at least I would absolutely think that Saka is purely worth it. I think he's on penalties. He should be on pens. He is Arsenal's main player, main attacker. I think he should be starting this game as well, and I think Arsenal definitely cannot afford to get him injured or maybe give him rest because they're still fighting for that top four. I think he's going to be very crucial. So I'll make that move. Ronaldo to Havertz, White to Enket. Ronaldo Havertz, White to Enketia, Son or KDB and Cancelo roll the transfer. Mm, Ronaldo Havertz, White to Enketia. I mean, I think they're good moves. They're really, really good moves. I possibly will make these moves. Cancelo is really good, and I think you should have him. One of Son KDB also I think is a good option, and Ketia gives you a good bench option. I don't think so. He's a bench option. I think you can essentially play him every week because he can score. He can absolutely score, and I think it's Havertz gonna get rotated. I have a feeling. White doesn't really give you as much as attacking potential as a Cancelo, for example. Cancelo even plays for a better defensive team, right? So he's gonna give the possibility of a clean sheet is a lot higher with a Cancelo. So and Ronaldo versus, I mean, you can't really compare Ronaldo and Nketiah because the price difference is so huge. But I just feel with the way United have been playing, yes, Ronaldo has been saving maybe reducing the pain a little bit, but I just have a feeling that the combination of Nketiah, maybe a KDB and a Cancelo is really good. Son if you want to go safer, KDB if you're chasing. Bench Pookie, Joao Pedro, Dennis, or Emerson Royale. If I have to bench one player this week, let's just quickly see the matchups once. I think I'll probably bench Joao Pedro. I think he could have limited minutes. There's a chance that he could get limited minutes. And I think Dennis is definitely getting a start. Not too sure that Joao Pedro starts this game. So I think I'll probably bench him and double Watford. I mean, yeah. I personally won't want to do that. I mean, I know it's against the match is against Burnley, but I think yeah, I still won't do it. I possibly will bench Joao Pedro. So on to KDB, good pick. I like it, to be very honest. I think it's a good pick. If you're chasing, if you're okay taking a bit of a risk, then I think it's a good move. If you're playing safe, then don't do it. I mean, don't even think of doing it. Pookie and Robertson or Watkins. Pookie and Robertson or Watkins and Laporte. I think overall it's Watkins plus Laporte, but I like Robertson's attacking output a lot more than I like for Laporte. But I still feel I think Watkins and Laporte is a better combination. Just a bit. If you have Trent, then I think this is it. But if you don't have Trent, I think it's Pookie and Robertson. You have to have one Liverpool defender in it. Nketiah or Pookie to start? I think it's Nketiah. Should I start Havertz or Mount? I think I'll start. Hmm. I think I'll start Mount out of the two. I think he looks like he's a little bit more nailed, but could be wrong. Personally, I'll still start Mount. KDB can already be a punt, plus captaining him on top of that could. I mean, yeah, it could be a little far stretched, but then Salah is safe. I mean, Salah, Cap, and KDB in the team is it's balanced, but it's not. I mean, I'm not going all batshit crazy, but it's definitely balanced. But I don't think so. There'll be a lot to gain because I think Salah will be captained by a fair few. I think his ownership is probably going to be around 130, 140, something like that. So yes, there will be something to lose if Salah, goes really crazy against Newcastle. That could happen. Absolutely, that could happen. But just have a feeling if I am getting KDB for a hit, I think captaining him against Leeds, it's not that I'm betting a wrong fixture here as well, right? I'm betting a start. That's where the bet is. And if I'm very very confident, I think KDB starts this one. So yeah, I understand that it could go absolutely wrong, but I think let's go for it. I mean, why not give it a shot? Why not give it a chance where we're going all out and taking a few risks and let's see what happens, right? I mean, there's nothing to lose. There is a lot to lose, but I mean, it's fine. I think I've reached a stage where the goal that I had earlier is now looking a bit steep, so I'm okay taking a bit of chances. It's fine. Made the matip transfer. Salah or Kane captain. Salah safer if you want to go safe. If you want to protect rank. Slightly differential is Kane. Both are good options. I don't think so. I think in terms of minutes, maybe Kane outscores Salah in terms of minutes on the pitch. But I think depends on whether you want to go safe or chase rank. If you are looking to play safe, Salah is the one. Best captain this week, if I don't have any Spurs, I think Salah. If you don't have any Spurs, safer is Salah. Riskier is somebody like a KDB or a Sterling. I still go KDB, but I think it's still Salah. Uh, Thank you, Lisa, for the question. I hope I was able to help you. Should I go for Jesus this week? As I said earlier, I think he's a bit risky in terms of minutes. Yes, he scored goals. He's gotten a couple of starts now, and he's been in good form. So he could compete for that starting spot, but it's just too risky. I think over the next 4 or 5 fixtures, he probably starts maybe a couple of games. He will probably get minutes in more games, but I don't think so he'll start more than that. So if you're okay taking that much chance, you go for Jesus and chase the upside, but it's even riskier than going for a KDB or a Foden or even a Sterling for that matter. I think it's a risky option. Start Dennis or ESR. I think I'll start Dennis, considering how I mean Burnley is not a great defense anyways. I'll probably start Dennis. Could do okay. Could do okay. Play one Pookie. I think I've I think I've answered this question. Yes, I have answered this question. Sterling captain or Sterling to Son captain? I think Sterling to Son captain. Start one of Rafinha, Barnes, Broha. I think it's probably gonna be. I mean, I don't like any of them, but if I have to start one, I'll probably start Broha. Barnes could get rotated. Rafinha against Man City could be a tricky one. Swapping Bruno for De Bruyne, I mean, absolutely. I think it's a good move. Start Pookie or Havertz. I mean, I'd possibly start Havertz. Yes, there's a chance that he gets rested, but I'd possibly start Havertz. I think Pookie. I mean, Norwich are a bit of a hot and cold kind of a team right now, right? We were expecting them to really go berserk and really go crazy because they have to now win or they have to start winning games, but I don't think so. They'll be out of the relegation zone at all. And I think Villa at home is a strong team. The defense should be a lot better. And I think, yeah, I mean, Havertz, even with the risk of rotation or, reduced minutes, I'd still feel he's a good pick. Replace Kane with Nketiah or Jesus. Safer is Nketiah. And if you're using that money, additional money to make other upgrades, I think Nketiah will help you a lot more. Jesus is very risky. He's a good option, but he's super risky. So if you're okay taking that risk, Jesus, I personally would go Jesus, but I think Nketiah would be a little more balanced in terms of what you can do with that money and overall structure of the team because he also has a double. He's probably gonna outscore Jesus in terms of minutes. I think I can possibly say that. So based on your risk taking ability or how much of a risk you want to take, I think you take a call. Should we get rid of Havertz? If you don't have a free hit, then Coutinho is an option. I think he will be rotated. If you have a combination of Havertz mounts, maybe you get rid of Havertz. If you already have maybe double or triple Chelsea, maybe then also you can get rid of Havertz. I think there are options that you can go towards. You can go to a Son by making an upgrade. You can possibly go to a Coutinho as well if you don't have a free hit or if you don't have any chips available. So I think Havertz to Coutinho is also a decent move. Sarthak, Rafinha and Cuco Hernandez out for Dewsbury Hall and Dennis for a hit this week. I mean, I don't like this for a hit. I don't expect any of these. Maybe Dennis gets something from his game, but Rafinha and Kuko for a hit, and the options are also not that appealing. It's Dewsbury Hall who can get rested, and Dennis who. I mean, I understand if you're planning a little bit more long term because next week, I think both them will have a double. I think it's probably a better option than a Rafinha double and a Watford attacker double, an attacker which might not get majority minutes in both games. Slightly long term, it's okay, but this week, I mean, not for a hit. Sterling Strong captain, I will do it. Havertz to Jota. I mean, again, if you're okay taking a bit of a chance, bit of a risk, if you are trying to chase, and if you're looking to go for a stronger team, if you don't have a Liverpool triple, right, and let's say if you have one of Robertson or Trent and you have a Salah, for example, I think Jota could get minutes. Yes, he will get rotated. I mean, there's no running away from the fact that Jota is not going to get rotated, but I still feel it could be a powerful combination. If you compare Jota to a Foden, for example, I still would prefer somebody like a Foden, maybe even Coutinho because of the guarantee of minutes. But that's the safer play, right? That's probably the defensive way of playing the game. If you are literally chasing and going all out, then I think it's a good option. It's not a bad option. I have a wildcard. I have wildcard. Choose this game week. I mean, if you have a wildcard, this is the game week to play. I mean, you can set up your team for 36. Let's say if you have a bench boost, you can use that in 36. If you have a free hit, the free hit will take care of itself in 37, for example. And then you can also have a decent team for 38 as well. So yeah, I mean, if there is a week to use the wildcard, I think it's this one. You have a team where you've mentioned Trent, Ramsdale, Alonso, Cancelo, Laporte, Salah, Barnes, Saka, Kane, Kulusevski, Broha, Ramsey, White, King. If I play wildcard this week, whom should I transfer out? I mean, I would possibly take out Ramsdale on a wildcard. I'm okay taking him out. I think I'll possibly also would want to get a Liverpool double up in Trent and Robertson. I don't think so. I will have Barnes in my team. Even Kulusevski, I can possibly avoid depending on your chip strategy, right? If you have a free hit available and if you're using it in 37, then you don't need a Coutinho. But otherwise, you can get in a Coutinho who will give you a double in 36 and then a double in 37. So that will be really, really beneficial for your team. But I think other than that, you don't really need a lot of changes for this team, to be very honest. I think it's a decent team. Downsize Bruno to Mount and sell Amate for Robertson. Bruno to Mount, and I mean, I won't bring a Chelsea attacker right now. Amate to Robertson is really good because that's a good upgrade, but possibly you can get to a maybe a Man City attacker, a Man City defender, maybe a Laporte. I think that'll maybe save you 1.5 million, that something around that range, and possibly you can then make a different upgrade. But again, I don't like the idea of buying a Chelsea midfielder right now. I think the week was last week, not this week. I can start only two: Anderson, Mount, and Tony. I think I'll definitely start Mount. I'll take a chance. I won't bench Mount for sure. And then I mean Tony against United. Mm, let's see. Southampton at home could be good. Palace away are a very defensive team. I'll possibly start Mount and Tony. I think I'm okay taking a chance with Tony. Ericsson in that team. I mean, and United playing the way United is playing. There's you never know. I mean, even a Tony could get a goal or something from that game. So I'll start Mount and Tony. I won't start Anderson. Shall I sell Havertz for Coutinho or Foden? Depends on your team. Depends on your strategy as well. Depends on whether you have a free hit available or not. Depends on if you're chasing or if you're playing safe. If you're playing safe, then possibly. I mean, I'm okay doing that move. I think there'll be rotation. I think Coutinho gives you an opportunity to target a player who has more home games, who has maybe easier games. Again, you can argue that Chelsea also has decent games, but I think Coutinho will give you that two extra games advantage. Yes, he has a tough game in 38. So if you have a plan for him, I think, and if you don't have any chips, I think it has to be Coutinho. But if you have a free hit that you can use in 37, for example, then if I'm selling Havertz, I'll sell him for Foden, who could be benched this week. I mean, absolutely, there are chances that Foden could get benched this week, but on an overall basis, in terms of looking at the longer picture, 36, 37, and 38 as well, I think Foden could be a better move. What are your plans for next week? My plans for next week are possibly, again, I've just thought it roughly, but I can possibly take out White, get in a Laporte, and I can also take out another striker, which is Adams, and I can get to an Nketiah. So that ways I will have Ramsdale plus Saka plus Nketiah as my Arsenal triple up, which is pretty decent. And I would have taken out some money and put in that money for an additional defender, which has a decent double, is playing for a better defense, and could be okay in the long run. I mean, Laporte, I think, starts majority games for Man City. I don't think so there'll be a lot of rest there. There could be an odd rotation, but I just feel I could get more points from a Laporte. So I think it's Cancelo and Laporte next week, which will be the Man City double. So the changes will be basically White and Adams out for Laporte plus Nketiah right now. But let's see. Let's see. Werner out for Jesus or Watkins. Watkins safer, Jesus very risky, or keep Watkins looking to free hit. I mean, if you're looking to free hit in 37, I personally won't go Watkins. There's a huge risk with Jesus, but take a chance with him. Change him if you don't feel like that he's gonna start, but I mean, there's a chance that he can start this week as well. So let's just make the moves now, bro. Just want to avoid any last moment. I think, yeah, let's just quickly make the moves. I think I'll go with KDB only. So I'm taking out Mount. Do we have any news, guys? Are you aware of any news, anything that has happened, anything in terms of any rumors floating around, any predicted lineups for a Salah, maybe a benching of Salah, etc.? Because I have not seen anything yet. Let's see. Anyways, make the moves now. So we're taking out Mount. We are getting in KDB. That's done. We're taking out Rafinha and we're getting in Saka. That's also done. I think Saka, I think he plays for sure. So Rafinha out for Saka. That's done. And then the last move, of course, has to be to downgrade Werner because we need that money, and then we'll probably go for Dennis. I would have loved to go for Nketiah this week, but because of those three Arsenal players, I can't go for him. So we'll just go Dennis now. We have point 0.3 in the bank, which is okay. I think we'll make the transfers. So it's a -8 that we've taken this week. Yeah, it's done. Captain, I think it's Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, let's just take a chance with him. It's fine. Vice captain, I'll put it on Salah just to be safe. I don't think so. KDB doesn't feature at all in the Leeds game, but in any case, let's just keep the vice captaincy on Salah. Be a little safer in that regard. So yeah, so I have a playing 11 now, which is exactly the one that I have on the screen. Where Kevin De Bruyne is the captain, Salah is the vice captain. Begos and Dennis are in the playing 11 as the front two. White, Adams, and Shar as the bench options. Great. Cool. We've saved our team, saved our captain. Let's go. Should I start Lacazette? I don't think so. He'll start. I mean, if you can shift him out for a Watkins, for example, maybe even Jesus. Maybe go cheaper and then save some money, do some upgrades elsewhere. I think it's okay. You can possibly do that. I personally won't. I don't like the look of Lacazette starting a lot of games now. White and St. Max to Digne and Mateta. Digne, I personally won't do. Let's just quickly see how much he is in terms of money and price. Because if he's the same price as cash, I would always prefer a cash. Cash is 5.3, Digne is 5. If you can afford cash, I think I'll still go there. White and St. Max out, I mean, they're good transfers out because White is not going to give you any attacking impetus. St. Max as well. I mean, Newcastle has tough fixtures, but Digne and Mateta is just not a great combination. I will possibly try to go for a different set of combination. Start White, Martinelli or Adams. If I have to start one, I'll possibly take a chance on Adams. I mean, I don't want to, but I think Palace away are a bad team. I mean, whatever I've seen so far, they really play very defensive, and there are chances that Adams could score because Southampton, in terms of attack, have still done okay. I personally don't expect Martinelli to score or to start at least. White can give you a clean sheet, but I would always prefer the attacker. If you want to go a bit safer, then possibly go White. I mean, the ownership is not going to come into play because ownership of White and Adams is going to be low itself. Like both the players will have low ownership, so that is absolutely fine. But if you are okay targeting the attacker, taking a bit of a risk in search of a goal or in search of a haul, then possibly Adams. Off topic, who do you support in IPL? I have supported again. I'm not a huge cricket fan. I'll be honest. Have supported or used to support Delhi earlier when, of course, IPL came into being and started. Have seen a fair amount of matches. I'm in Bangalore right now, so I have seen games in Bangalore. Of course, have seen RCB as well. So not really any team in particular, to be very honest. I think RCB was one that I was not supporting, but yeah, I saw a lot of RCB games on telly and as well as in the stadium as well. So yeah. Saka captain, great option, great differential to go for. If you are, okay, taking a bit of a risk, then I think Saka is a really good option to go for. Thoughts on Ronaldo captain? I mean, against Brentford, we might just end up drawing the game or Brentford winning by a goal. Yes, Ronaldo. If United is doing anything at all right now, it's all through Ronaldo. So that's a plus. I'm not sure it's a plus or not because as a United fan, I don't really like that aspect of our game at the moment. But Brentford are a decent defensive side. So I think they're going to keep it tight. I think we might find it difficult to break Brentford. So if you don't have any other options, I personally don't think so. But let's say if you don't have a Salah, if you don't have a Son or a Kane or a KDB, then you possibly go here. I would even captain a Saka ahead of Ronaldo, to be very honest. Don't like him as a captaincy shout this week. Bring in Coutinho, Foden, Coutinho. If you don't have any chips available, then I think Coutinho is the one to go for. Foden, if you are okay with maybe his benching this week because he can get benched because of that Champions League semi-final against Real Madrid. Long term, I think Foden could do well, could even outscore Coutinho in spite of maybe one less game, for Foden, and maybe a chance of him on being on the bench for maybe a match or two. just feel depends on your risk taking ability and your strategy. If you have a free hit, then I'll possibly and I'm using it in 37, then I'll go Foden. If you don't have any chips, then I'll possibly go Coutinho. And if I want to play safe, I hope that that makes sense. Rumors are that DCL might get some minutes this week and possibly, yeah, I mean, DCL could get minutes, but again, whenever he's come from injury, he's not looked that great. He's not on penalties. Everton are struggling at the moment. Yes, they need goals, they need results, they need to get out of that relegation battle. Otherwise, it's going to be chaotic for that club. So there are chances that he gets minutes, but I mean, it's just too risky. If I have to go, I think DCL is 7.5 if I'm not wrong. 7.7. So if I need to go in that sort of a price range, I'll possibly look at other options. Let's just quickly see what are the options there. I mean, yes, Dennis, Pookie, and all these options are a lot lesser, but I'll possibly look at Watkins. If you can afford a Gabriel Jesus move, I know he's more expensive, but I think that option is also not a bad option, to be honest. I know he's 8.5, so he's a lot more than what a DCL is. But I think maybe I'll still go for Watkins rather than DCL. Start Pookie or White. I generally like to start the attacker, but against an Aston Villa defense at home and Pookie playing away, might just be tempted to start White. White, Adams, and Shah on that bench. On the bench in that order, yes, I think that'll be the bench order. White first, Adams second, and Shah third. Which two to play? Kulusevski, Ramsey, and Odegaard. I'll play Kulusevski and Ramsey this week. Just not very confident in terms of Odegaard being a great option. This has a huge predictable lineup of players of City. KDB start is rated at 93%. Let's see. I mean, that 7% could be Pep's 100%, right? If that makes any sense at all. Pep could absolutely go crazy and just bench KDB, maybe get him on for the last 10-15 minutes. Absolutely a possibility. Can happen. Let's see. Play anyone, Madison, Davis, or Nketiah. If I have an option to play only one, I'll possibly play Nketiah. Madison could be benched, could be rotated, might not start the game because of Leicester's European commitments. So I think I'll possibly start Nketiah. Which two to start out of Weghorst, White, Ramsey, Broha, Kulusevski? I'll start Weghorst against Watford. I think it's at home for Watford. Watford at home have been pretty poor. Burnley are on the up. Looks like Burnley has more fight in them to get out of the relegation zone in spite of firing or letting go of Sean Dyche. So yeah, I mean Weghorst is definitely an option. Second option, I think. I mean, I'm worried about Kulusevski playing in the wing back position, so that is a risk. But again, I'll still possibly prefer an attacker, right? So I'll possibly start Weghorst plus Kulusevski. I still bench White, Ramsey, and Broha. Great, guys. About 10 minutes to go. So do let me know if you have any more questions. If you want to ask any more stuff, if you just want to talk about anything at all, please feel free to add that in the chat, add those in the comments. We'll quickly see once if we've saved our teams. I think you also should check your teams and your transfers one. I think if you're going safe, go Salah. If you are okay taking a bit of a risk and chasing, the next best options are Son and Kane. If you are doing massive chasing and massive upside chasing, and you're okay taking a risk, even okay taking a risk when you possibly go down in ranks, I think you can even go KDB, somebody like a KDB, for example. I think if I want to bet on somebody from Man City right now, I think it will be on KDB. Otherwise, I won't be betting on a Man City asset. So that's that. I think Mount is a hold for me. I also feel that James and Alonso are holds for this week. I think another very important point that a lot of people asked me during this week was that whether they should sell Kane or Son. I don't think so. You should sell Kane or Son. In fact, a lot of people that I've spoken to are planning to get in Kane and Son because of their strategy, because of, let's say, a free hit in 36, and then they have 37 and 38 where Spurs have really good fixtures. So I don't think so they're a priority sell at the moment. Next week could be a tricky thing if you don't have any chips available. Then I think if you're chasing etc., you might want to go to a Man City mid. So you can do that next week. This week is a bit risky, so don't do that if you're playing safe. Um, Remember me captaining Saka and forgot to confirm my team? I mean, yeah, I do remember you. Don't worry. I do remember you. And then let's hope that you save your team and save your captain this week. And do let me know who you're captaining this week, though. Ramsdale or Sanchez? I will go Ramsdale. I know Wolves are also, they don't score a lot. Maybe Brighton could keep a clean sheet here, but I'll just fancy the better defensive team. I think Arsenal can keep a clean sheet. I think Ramsdale makes more saves than Sanchez anyways, and could end up in bonus points, etc. So I think Ramsdale is a decent option. Second in the mini league, losing by 50 points, captain Coutinho or Salah. If you're losing by 50 points, I won't captain Salah because the one who's winning the league by 50 points is going to captain Salah. I'm pretty sure of that. I'll possibly go Coutinho, or if you have a city midfielder, maybe if you have a Son, for example, a Kane, for example, those are also good options. But if you don't have all of these options, then I think Coutinho is a great pick. That person who has predicted the lineups has always generally been bang on target for City and Chelsea's team, and the entire chart makes a lot of sense for KDB start. I mean, let's see. Do let me know what source is that. If I get the time, I'll also check that once. But yeah, I mean, I still have a feeling it's still a 50-50 for me, to be very honest. I'm still in the mix in terms of whether he's going to start or not. I'm taking a huge risk, but let's just keep our fingers crossed and hope that we will end this game week on a high, on top, and we will start getting closer to 10k. I mean, that is absolutely the requirement now. There is nothing that you know that will help us if we play safe and if we just go boring and very very safe in terms of our transfers and moves. And let's just hope this works out. I'm a little tense, a little worried, but yeah, let's see. Dennis, KDB, and Havertz in for Kane, Madison. Dennis, KDB, and Havertz in for Kane, Madison, and Dini. I mean, for a hit, I won't do it this week. No, not for a hit this week. I mean, I won't bring in Havertz for sure. Yeah, not for a hit. Captaining Salah going to be a safer option. I mean, yeah, captaining Salah. It's absolutely gonna be the safer option. And if you've already taken a few differentials as risks, or if you've already made a couple of moves who you're already afraid of in terms of whether they're going to do anything for you because they are making you go against the template of FPL. I mean, you just go Salah, you just go safe. He's absolutely safe. I mean, his I think his effective ownership is probably going to be around 140, maybe around 130, maybe around 130 to 140. I think that's possibly his effective ownership for this week. Play Foster or Schmeichel. I think I'll play Foster this week. Havertz or Mount to Coutinho. I'll do Havertz to Coutinho. Or the Sterling starting, you think? I really want him as my captain. I think he starts this one. I don't think so. He starts the Champions League game. So he starts this one, but it's a risk because Pep has a lot of options in attack. So I'll be a little wary because I think the importance of a KDB to a Man City team is I don't think so. It's undervalued, but I still feel it's a lot more than what a Sterling can get to a team or get to a Man City team, right? In terms of attack, I think KDB is that engine that runs that Man City attack, and I would have really preferred for you to captain him instead of a Sterling, but yeah. I think he starts this one. I don't think so. He's rested or he's benched, but captaining Sterling is even more riskier than captaining KDB. Have double Chelsea attack in Mountain Havertz. I mean, absolutely okay to keep them if you don't want to take chances, don't want to take a risk. So it's absolutely fine to not transfer them out. But if you totally depends on your team strategy and what you are planning to do, right? If you have a free hit in 37, first of all, if you have a free hit and if you're planning to use it in 37, then possibly you don't have to do a Mounts or a Havertz to a Coutinho, for example, and a Mounts or a Havertz to a Foden this week as well. I think it's a risky move, but I mean, I still like the Coutinho. I still like you know dialing it down a little bit in terms of the Chelsea midfield, and then possibly going for a Coutinho who has decent fixtures, home fixtures, who you can target. So I think if you're playing safe, I mean, take out Havertz maybe and have Mount and Coutinho. What have you got on the back of your shirt? Nothing right now, to be honest. There's nothing printed yet. I wanted to get my name done, but I think I've had this conversation before on the stream itself. But yeah, didn't manage to do that. But yeah, let's see. Next season could be different. Let's see. Let's see. Dennis and KDB in for Kane and Gallagher out. I don't like Kane out this week, but Gallagher and Kane as a combination. I think KDB and Dennis is risky for this week. If it's for a hit, it's risky, but long term it might be okay. I mean, it's that bet, right, where you are actually betting against a Tottenham attacker doing something, or when a Tottenham attacker does something, I think it'll really hurt your rank. But then again, you can gain that back with the KDB move. So I think that's okay. Taking -4 for Bruno Guimaraes and Werner for Watkins and Smith Rowe worth it? No, I don't think so. It's worth it when you already have a Kulusevski and Saka. No, it's not worth it. That person is an FPL player with the best career rank of 999 and has 8.2k follows on Twitter, and she only does City and Chelsea team predictions. I mean, yeah, I think I know who you're talking about, and I also read that. I think I read that tweet as well. So let's see. Ben Saka, Havertz, Alonso, or James. I would not like to bench anyone out of them, but if I have to bench one, I'm definitely playing Saka. I'm definitely playing. I think I'll play. I'll bench. I don't want to bench Havertz, but I'll possibly play Alonso and James both, because anyone can haul and the variance could be massive. So even Havertz could haul. It's a very tough call. I mean, I always prefer the attacker, but probably you can bench Havertz. Still not very sure of that. Subscribe to you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It really means a lot. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, guys, and please, if you've not done that so far, please subscribe to the channel. It will really help us, and I really appreciate your support. Really, again, thank you again for joining on the stream as well, and I hope I was able to help you. So let's go. Not bringing any Chelsea players, it's all right. I mean, it's fine. I don't think so. Chelsea players need to be bought this week. Bench order Mateta, Janssen, Broha. I will possibly keep it the same way. Yeah, I think I think I can go Mateta, Broha, Janssen, but yeah, I don't know who to captain now. KDB or Salah. Man, it's simple. If you're playing safe, if you are leading in your mini leagues, if you are protecting rank, go Salah. If you are okay taking the risk, if you're doing massive catch up, if you are way behind in terms of your rank or in terms of your mini leagues, then go KDB. I mean, there's actually not a lot to think there. It's quite a simple argument. Ramsdale or Sanchez? I will still go Ramsdale. I think playing for a better defense makes more saves than Sanchez. Sanchez can keep a clean sheet because Wolves don't score a lot of goals. I mean, they're a dud team, to be very honest. But yeah, I mean, I'll still go Ramsdale, to be honest. Great, guys. A minute to go. Please save your teams. Please make your transfers. I hope you've already done that. I'll also quickly check my team. The captaincy is set on KDB. Tricky. Salah is vice captain. I think I'm pretty set. I think we've reached deadline. I hope I was able to help you guys in terms of making, or at least thinking about certain directions in terms of which players, or which situation, or in what situation what to kind of do exactly. Of course, the final decision should be yours, has to be yours. I'm not taking the blame for any of the moves that you will be doing, because with me, what's happened over the past few weeks, whenever I've and I remember a couple of, I think maybe a couple of weeks back, where I was dead against Dennis, and Dennis ended up scoring points. That always happens, right? You are heavily backing against certain player, and that player really ends up hurting you. Is a different thing in FPL, but when you are suggesting somebody that or when you're telling somebody, or when at least when you're having a conversation with someone that maybe a Dennis is not going to do anything, and then when he does something, you really remember those times, right? And then I hope you guys don't curse me when I give you certain suggestions and those players work or don't work out. Of course, I'll be great if if those kind of suggestions do work out for you. I'll be really happy if you guys do really well. But yeah, let's see. Guys, please don't spam the chat. I think it'll be really helpful if you don't spam the chat. And that's a lot of spam. I'll possibly take a minute to change that and then get rid of that. Well, that's interesting. That is a lot of people on. I mean, focal raid. What does that mean, though? That's actually quite interesting. That's a lot of focal. I don't even know how much to or how to kind of you know get rid of that. But yeah, I think that's a lot of spam. A lot of spam. Interesting, interesting. I'm actually seeing how many people have joined. There are about 86 people now. I think most of them are are. I mean, I don't even understand what FPL you know focal means or what a raid means, to be very honest. Anyways, thank you so much, guys. I actually don't get it, which is absolutely fine. Not a problem. Great, guys. Thank you so much from. No, I know who FPL Focal is. So, anyways, thank you so much again for joining. I think. I hope you have a great game week. I hope you see a lot of football games, see a lot of matches. I hope you have a great end to the season. And you let's see. I mean, let's see what's gonna happen. I think it's probably gonna be a tricky set of weeks for us because I think we've kind of gone down in terms of our rank. But yeah, let's see. I mean, I'm still trying to get towards that that 10K mark. I was 16K last season, and I want to at least beat that 10K mark this time around. But let's see. So yeah, uh, I mean, I don't know how this works. I'm sorry if I'm if I'm a newbie in this regard, but I hope a raid is a good thing. I know the meaning of a raid, but I really really hope and I if that is the case, I'll of course thank him and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you're here, why not support the channel? Why not subscribe to the channel? If you're here now and you are supporting the channel, so why not subscribe to the channel? Help us get towards that 1,000 subscribers mark. I think we've been there in and about for a lot of time now, to be very honest. And I think it'll really mean a lot if you guys can support the channel by liking the stream, by probably even subscribing to the channels. So that'll be really really helpful. Score predictions. Interesting. Let's just possibly make some predictions. Why not? I think if you are possibly looking at games, I think Newcastle Liverpool could be a tighter game. I personally don't think so. It's gonna be Liverpool smashing 3 or 4 goals past the Newcastle team. Newcastle at home have been really really good. So I don't think so. It's going to be that obvious or that clear for a Liverpool attacking masterclass. I still think they have enough to win this game, and they have to, right, because they're still competing with Man City in terms of the league. So I think it's probably going to be maybe a 1-0, maybe a 2-0 of sorts. I don't think so. It's going to be a hammering from Liverpool. I still have a feeling that Liverpool will give Newcastle a lot of chances. So that is definitely a possibility. In terms of Aston Villa Norwich, I think Norwich are not going to score in this one. I still have a feeling Aston Villa are going to be clear in terms of this particular game. I think it's going to be a 2-0 to Aston Villa. Southampton Palace, I think it's going to be a close one. Palace away are they're a very odd team, if you know what I mean. They have split strategies for when or for what kind of game they're playing, or what Vieira is playing with the team when he's traveling, as opposed to what he's doing at home. And then I don't think so. They're great travelers, to be very honest. Southampton also, in terms of a defense, I don't think so. They've kept a lot of clean sheets recently. They are struggling to keep out goals, to keep out chances. And then Southampton is always very tricky and very risky, right? Because they always have this odd result in them where they'll end up conceding 4 or 5, 6 goals, 7 goals, and stuff like that. So that becomes a little bit tricky. But I still feel it's going to be a close one. I think it's possibly going to be a 1-0, maybe a 1-1 sort of a game. Watford Burnley is going to be interesting because I think Burnley will have to go all out in terms of how they approach the game, and what happens there. But I think let's see. I mean, I still have a feeling Watford at home are not that comfortable, and it could be Burnley 2-1. I mean, Burnley, it's away for Burnley, but I think still feel them they have more fight in them as compared to maybe a Watford or a Norwich or even an Everton who are in the relegation zone but are still they don't look like a side who will possibly be in the Premier League next season. I think Burnley's going to win that one. Wolves Brighton could be a 0-0, maybe a 1-0 to Wolves. Leeds Man City, I think it could be anything. I think Leeds can still score in this particular fixture. I think they are still an attacking side. They don't concede as many goals as they were initially, and I think it could be maybe 3-1 sort of a game. I don't think so. Man City are going to score 6 or 7 goals, but I have a feeling that Man City are at least going to get a couple, maybe even 3 goals in this game. Everton Chelsea, maybe it's going to be closer. Everton at home are a decent side, to be very honest, and I think it's possibly going to be a 1-1 sort of a game. I don't think so. I think there'll be rotation in Chelsea, and they might just not be able to, get over Everton in this one. Spurs Leicester, I think it's probably going to be a 2-0 to Spurs. I think Leicester are going to play a very heavily rotated side, and I think that will play in the hands of Spurs for this particular week. West Ham Arsenal, West Ham at home. Arsenal, it's an away fixture for Arsenal, but Arsenal probably will have too much for West Ham, and I think it's possibly going to be, you know, maybe a win for Arsenal, maybe a 1-0 or maybe a 2-1 sort of a game. United Brentford again, I don't see anyone winning this game. I think it's probably going to be a 1-1 sort of a game. So let's see. Let's see. Guys, thank you for the raid. I mean, that's definitely happened for the first time. And I'm still getting used to the fact that how does that work? But yeah, I mean, what the hell was that? Okay, great. If you're still around here, and if you want to chat, always open for a chat. Do subscribe to the channel, guys, if you've not done that so far. Also, make sure that you like the stream so that we can reach out more people. We can get more people to raid our stream, raid our videos. I don't know if that makes any sense, or I don't know if that helps us. Maybe it will, but yeah, that's what it is. Subscribe. I'm an LFC fan. Yeah, I mean nothing against a lot of things against your team, but yeah, let's just see. Last minute I changed captaining KDB now. And this time I didn't forget to confirm my team. I hope you were able to save your team. Absolutely. Excuse me. And that blunder doesn't happen again. We haven't to a lot. It's a great time right now. Football is a funny sport. We're all here for the love of football. Absolutely. I mean, we are all here for the love of football. We all love watching the game, love supporting our team, supporting players, going through the notions week in, week out. And I think that's what has given us such a good community. Whether it's FPL, whether it's football in general, whether you talk about a specific club, I think a lot of people that you can really talk to, converse about what is happening in the sport, and what is the state of football at the moment. So I think it's a good place to be in. Maybe not a great place to be in if you are a United fan or a United supporter right now. I mean, it's a bit tricky to be very honest, right? Not been happy with what has been happening with United. Of course, the Ten Hag news and all of the news about key personnel or key people leaving the club at the moment, and that gives you an inkling, or that gives you some sort of an insight in terms of a proper rebuild happening. But how much of that rebuild is actually going to start as soon as he comes? What kind of players are going? What kind of players are coming? I think these next couple of months are going to be very, very crucial for us. And let's just hope. I'm not expecting Ten Hag to just come and absolutely change everything, and we are suddenly a title winning squad. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen like that. If there is a rebuild in place, I think that's probably going to take a bit of time. But yeah, I mean, let's see. Let's hope for the best. I mean, exciting times as a United fan, exciting times as a Liverpool fan. If you've not been living under a rock, Klopp has signed a new contract. I think which extends his stay in Liverpool till 26. So like that's great news if you're a Liverpool fan. That's bad news if you were a rival. Let's see if what Pep does. To be very honest, I mean, are there chances of him also staying at Man City for? I mean, if he wins the Champions League, maybe he doesn't. But football is a funny sport at the end of the day, right? Anything would happen. got no expectations from United for the next 2 to 3 years. Less pressure on players. I mean, yeah, it's also about coming into the limelight, right? I mean, even Ten Hag when he's coming to the club, it's not that he's just his. There'll be a lot of limelight. I don't think so. He will be given so much leeway as maybe a Ragniak was given, because we knew that Ragniak is always a temporary solution. I mean, I don't even know if it was a solution. It was an attempt for a temporary fix. So there weren't really a lot of expectations. I think there were expectations when he came because we thought that probably we are getting it right. The board is kind of getting the recruitment right, or they have at least a plan in place. But he kind of came in, he had his own ideology in terms of how he wants to play with our team. He didn't get the support from players, and I don't think so he persisted enough to for us to fall into that system and really try things. I mean, he did try a couple of games. We were really bad. I'm assuming there'll be a lot of uh, you know uh, a lot of problems from players ends as well, because they're also probably not comfortable with his style of playing, and I think that is where we see a lot of gap and a huge problem in terms of what United has been doing right now. So yeah, so let's see. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's we as United fans have to temper our expectations very very clearly. We can't really expect them to be winning a title winning club all of a sudden. I think that expectation has to be curbed and controlled uh, properly, and I think the fans in majority have to understand that. Both probably sideline Ragniak. Maybe I think yeah. I mean I'm not totally sure if the board sidelined Ragniak. I think it was more about him not being a permanent solution, and we also have to understand that he was always in a consultant or a consultancy role. I don't think so there were conversations like we did with Ole when Ole was a temporary manager, and of course he got us results, and he was then the permanent manager for Man United. But I don't think so there was anything of that sort with Ragniak in play. I think Ragniak was always supposed to be a temporary fix, unless or until we maybe get to a Pochettino. Maybe we there were other other coaches, other managers in play at that point of time. But I don't think so he was anyways or anytime a solution to to fix United this season and then probably take up on a permanent job. I think he's not been a manager for a very long time, and I don't think so. I'm still yet to see how he would be in a consulting role, but I never saw him as a permanent solution for United anyway. Keep Havertz, Mount, and Richarlison 35 for 35 and double game week, or change them to Kevin De Bruyne, Dewsbury Hall, and Dennis for a -4. You already have Coutinho, Foden, Salah. So keep Havertz. I mean, I'm okay changing them to a KDH, De Bruyne, and Dennis for a -4. I don't think so. It's a huge hit, and you're giving yourself an opportunity for a good captaincy shout of De Bruyne as well, right? In 36, because I don't think so. You will be captaining anyone out of Havertz, Mount, or maybe even Richarlison for next week. So I think it's a decent move. Even if you already have Coutinho and even Foden, I think Foden plus KDB could be a great differential in itself. And you have Salah, so you have a set base covered. So yeah. Great. Do let me know if you have any more thoughts or anything to share, guys. I think uh, I think it's going to be an interesting week for our team, especially. I think taking a huge risk this week. Let's see what happens. Let's see what Man City can do. Really have high hopes and high expectations from Man City, but the way it's been happening for us, I mean, yeah. Let's see. Let's see. I don't want to jinx it by talking about it too much, but let's see. Great, guys. Thank you so much again for joining the stream. I hope you had a good time. I hope you had a great time. I hope I was able to help you as well. In case if you've not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Would really help us to get to 1,000 subscribers. And like the stream as well, so that we can reach out to more people. We do these videos. We've been doing this for almost a season and a half now, maybe almost 2 seasons, maybe slightly more than that. We do regular videos on team selection, on strategy guides. We have an Instagram channel as well, which has about thousand plus followers, where we post regular content in terms of captaincy shouts, in terms of dilemmas before the deadline. So there's a lot of content that you can get out from these different kind of posts, etc. So make sure that you check that out as well. If you like it, do give us a follow there. Would really appreciate that support. And of course, we're ending the season, so a lot of things are going to happen in the next season. maybe we have separate rules, maybe we have a different outlay in terms of how FPL is being played. I'm pretty sure, again, can't say that that's going to be a surety, but maybe it's not as chaotic or stressful as this season. Could be a possibility. But let's see. Let's see. Great. Thank you so much again. I think I'll be calling it a day here. Do watch games, do watch all the football. Have a great weekend ahead. Keep smiling, and of course, I will definitely see you in Saners next time. Bye bye.